me check the stream.
Yeah, no, I had it in the
Bro.
I had it in the no, I think it should be good now. I think it should be good.
Okay,
Bro,
so
why you post this picture of All Might like this? Why you do that man like that?
I actually think that's a really good moment.
That's dirty.
My fault. I had it in the wrong. Honestly, if I don't put this headphone in the right jack, it just doesn't pick up any sound because of the way I set it up. So that's my fault. We here, we good, we live. What's going on, everyone? So first of all, let me
yeah.
explain something. For anyone confused for why the stream's happening, I said it's December. You know, it's the month of giving. I like Christmas. I don't. So that's cap. I hate Christmas. But so you know what?
Wow.
I'll let everyone decide and choose what we can talk about for the month. So I held a little contest for a voting thing where I let you guys decide what you guys wanted to see. My hero. At first I told you guys to list any series, and then we voted on all those series, and My Hero was the one that came first. I said we do the top five. So it was My Hero, Kingdom, Berserk, Villain Saga, and a sports manga anime stream. That's what's won. So that's why we're doing this. So first of all, everyone kind of introduce yourself, say something, say hi to the people. Do it.
Hello,
All right,
we
I'll
are
go.
here today. We are here today to praise Horikoshi. You know me from Twitter. If you don't, I am East. It is nice to be here today with my fellow brother Naya. You know, he's been looking forward to the stream for so long, and it's glad we having this.
That's cap, as he would say.
Hey,
But we are here.
that
Uh,
boy coach is just
go ahead.
carrying you right now. It's great. Good times.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm Vincent. I don't know what else to say. I'm a villain. There it is.
Yeah, you got it.
I'm Upside Down Face. I'm up and coming. I'm starting YouTube videos, Twitch stuff, podcasts, all that stuff. Thank you for having me, Naya.
Of course, it's about time actually.
It's been a while.
What's good, Drake?
Me, someone paid me to be here. I never read my hair in my life. That's it.
Let's get it.
It's crazy. And I'm on Twitter. I tweet sometimes, every once in a while when I feel like it. Pretty much it.
Oh yeah, before we get started, I just want to say something real quick. I don't want any negative, no negative talk on the stream, so I'm just gonna get this out the way. You only really
Oh
talk with
no.
my ass. I said it. All right, we good. We keep moving.
I don't condone that behavior. That's my boy. He's my Joe bro. So we're not gonna go there. But all right, we're gonna hop into the discussion now. I think I sent everyone the show notes. If I didn't, let me know so I can send it to you because I'd be forgetting to send it to some people.
Yeah, send that shit to me because I wasn't paying attention. I just jumped in this hole randomly.
I mean, the first thing we're gonna start some general stuff. So we're gonna start with our favorite characters in the series. So maybe we can do like a top three. Talk about your favorite characters and why, and then we'll hop into like the bigger discussion. If you want me to start, I can start. All right, I'll start. Mirio Gold. That's my hero. He's the best. Give him his powers back. Then it's All Might.
Wow. Spoiler warning?
Wait. Oh, like I suppose. All right, fair enough. Yeah, this isn't anime only stream. So if you're not caught up to the manga, I suggest you leave now. My fault. It's not anime only. You're right. I should have said that first. I guess.
Yeah, it's all good. We're here now.
All Might. I like All Might and Endeavor because he's the greatest dad I've ever seen in my life, and that's it. No one else matters to me.
Felt that.
Yeah, someone else will go.
Favorite characters: All Might, Bakugo twice. Though I am doing a reread, so it might change. But so far, those are my top three. Easy enough.
Mine did change because now Endeavor is number 2, Todoroki still number 1, and Bakugo number 3, and then because Hawk goat.
Of course.
Go.
When we get more
I
panels.
like Todoroki, Shigaraki, and Tokoyami.
Cool.
Bird Gang.
Bird Gang. You know what I'm saying?
And then my top three are Endeavor, Bakugo, and then Hawks. I think Hawks would be 3 right now.
Hawks
Okay.
is
Bird Boys?
Yeah. For top three, I got Twice and Gentle Tie for top 1. I got Endeavor at 2, and I got Shiggy at 3.
That's your
Shake that dude.
favorite quirks.
Double, Dark Shadow.
Facts.
You're gonna have to explain to me what each of those are because I don't know them by name. I think Dark Shadow
Double
is Tokiyami, right? That's Tokiyami. That's
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Falco. Okay.
Yeah, Falco. We're playing
Mighty
Smash out
One,
here.
that's Hawk's quirk. And then we have Double, which is twice quirk.
For me, Fumikage, Ochiko, and Todoroki. Because he got two basic.
That's true. Um,
Me, Permeation,
a,
Sun Eaters, and Best Genus.
Yeah, that's right.
what
Yeah.
Them fibers.
Yeah, for sure. Um, for me, probably have to say, damn. Um, it's tough. Let me go with overhaul, and then I'll probably say, who am I thinking of? Yeah, I'll go overhaul. I'll go Shinsu's brainwashing, and then
that's a good one actually.
I'll probably do. I don't know, maybe togas. Yeah, I have to think. I have to think on that one. That's a good question.
Okay.
I don't know. I just like quirks, like a bunch of
I
them.
felt that. But
They're,
if
they're
Orochiko
all
gave me
creative.
her quirk, I would never lose. I promise.
Mm-hmm.
Gravity's next level.
Yeah, that's true. All right, and my three would be Permeation, which is Mirio's, and then Hawks and Overhaul's quirk.
Yeah.
Are probably the three best.
Mine's are basic. It's Mirio, it's All Mights, and I like the onomatopoeia guy. That was funny.
So you
I
like,
don't know his
I didn't
ability.
count him because he lost his all match, but yeah.
I mean, it's still an awful one, I guess. But even though it kind of works different
Yeah.
for Deku, apparently. But and then I know I have characters here twice. I didn't mean to write that twice. I should say arcs. Like maybe list off 1 or 2 arcs you're fond of. We'll dive into them more like deeply after, but just kind of surface level, like favorite arcs or why, or clarify why an arc that people don't like is actually a lot better than it.
Everyone hates on the Culture Festival, but it's like one of the best arcs. Just put that out
let's
there.
go.
That's
There
not.
you go. Put it out.
Hey, what do you
100%.
mean?
Who's hating on that though? Damn.
Exactly.
Oh, I didn't say
And
this.
then
Shit.
the sports tournament was also pretty cool.
Okay. Someone else go.
I like where they're at right now in the anime. The whole overhaul arc was sick. Mirio's moment, and then that last fight with Deku, and then the villain arc that we just had. I like what it did for the story, but we'll get into that later.
Of course. Yeah. I think mine's probably the villain one. I liked it. I have a little bit of an issue with the end of it, but for the most part, it was good. I don't care for them that much, but it was a good arc.
I love the villains. So
Yeah,
that was my
I feel like it
favorite
made you
arc,
care
for
for them more.
I tried.
Yeah.
sure.
I did my best.
But Stain
I did my
arc
best.
close second.
Yeah, you can't forget about Stain. Stain is nasty.
Oh yeah. Oh, he was good. Actually, he was dope. That's the hero.
Is this favorite arcs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite favorite 3 is overhaul, Pro Hero, and Stain. Yeah, I mean they're respectively good. We can talk about that later when we get into it. But
Well, of course, for me,
for obvious reasons, I think they're the best in My Hero. I don't think they're, overall in manga the greatest thing I've ever read, but they in that manga itself, they're pretty fucking solid. So
Felt that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I got NBA, and you already know, cultural festival. We out here.
fuck Redestra.
What's wrong with Destra?
Suck too
Well,
many
that man
dicks.
got-
No, I'm just kidding.
That man
How
got
many
to
is
stop
too many?
playing, but
You know the number.
It's always 9.
You know the number.
You think he only sucked 2, so we good.
Wow.
Wait,
Your
Jason,
mic is low, Naya. Apparently.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's life. Jay, what is everyone saying in the chat? Apparently, chat's wild. I don't know. I'll turn myself up in a second. I think I know how to do that. But okay. Anything else you want to say about that? Oh shoot, BMC, what's good?
Chilling.
Hey, the black manga critic.
Oh, what's up? What's up?
What did you say? Like this on his
Emphasis of black.
I'll take it.
Jeez.
I mean,
got
I
to,
don't
bro.
know.
Got to put emphasis on.
I mean, we get too far. We're still at the beginning. So tell me your favorite 3 characters.
Ooh, that's, I got are we like ranking them like 1, 2, 3?
No, just give me 3 that you really like. You know, whatever. You
Sure.
don't have to go into great detail. Just kind of service level stuff. We'll hop into it.
All right. Of course, one of them is gonna be Kirishima or Kirishima. I guess Kirishima is how people say it. Yeah. Right. Like, of course, I gotta go with him. Another one is Suyu is dope. I love Suyu because she's like not ridiculous. Like she actually thinks.
That's
and,
Froppy,
you know.
right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
Froppy.
Yeah.
Tries to
no.
do things.
Best girl.
All right.
Oh no.
And
Uh-oh.
third is probably 3's tough. 3's tough. I don't know. In fact, I'm just gonna go with a random person. I guess I'll go with Mirio. I gotta go Mirio. 3.
There you go.
Yeah.
That was the right answer. We love to see it. That was the right answer. That's the goal. What else are we of I think characters? Somebody like 3 give me like 3 your favorite quirks.
Favorite quirks? Fire and Ice is just dope. I love Fire and Ice. That's always gonna be cool no matter what. So that's one of my favorite quirks. The other one, I actually really like. I really like one for like the full cowling like aspect of it. At first I was like, oh, this is kind of corny. He's just like very strong and it's like boom, boom, boom. Yeah. But like I just like the sort of way that it's just more complicated than it seemed. I guess it was like All Might's just this dude who can like kind of use it, and he's just like effortlessly. And like if it was anybody else, they'd probably be going through what Deku's going through. So I like it. So I like the one for all full cowling. And third, probably. I haven't thought about this too much. 3 favorite quirks.
I
guess the warping.
I gave you the show notes, right? Did I give you the show
notes? Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have them.
They're in the. Yeah, the warping quirk because I always wanted to teleport, so I'll pick that one.
Yeah, teleporting is always fun. It's just convenient.
And I'm always late to things.
How much traffic I could skip? I'm tired of being in traffic. All right, let's talk about the anime for a little bit. Generally speaking, how do you guys feel about the anime as an adaptation? You think it's good, bad? You think it's better than the manga, worse, just as good? Kind of just give me general thoughts on that.
Definitely not better, but it's actually a really good adaptation as far as adaptations go. They do have to cut some stuff out just because of references that Horikoshi uses, and they can't really use them for copyright reasons and stuff like that because of his.
You mean like towards like American stuff?
Yeah, like because you get copyrighted for stuff. Yeah, because he's a
kind of like JoJo. They can't use like the real names for all the music references. I guess I didn't know. Yeah. I didn't know it had that problem. I didn't know that was a thing.
It's exactly like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so like in the first chapter they had cut out Spider-Man and Wolverine and like other like heroes, but in the first episode they couldn't put them in there because of the obvious reason. So I mean it's really good. It's a really good adaptation as far as things go, and this season is really revving up to be the best by far as adaptations go, like by a mile. Okay. Although they did cut some things here and there, but it's right now the direction is going and the stuff is adding is definitely amping up the manga.
I agree pretty much 100% of what he said. I prefer the manga because of just like the art style and how it looks and how certain emotions are, pervaded and a little foreshadowing nitpicks here and there. Mm-hmm. But anime's pretty good. I have it at a 8.5 out of 10 for most of it. So
yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I think it's like pretty much one of the best adaptations you could ask for if you wanted a manga adaptation, honestly. So not much to complain about.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I do feel like I was kind of waiting for this season Like the second season was pretty good, but I felt like I was kind of waiting for this season to come to really have a full opinion on the manga, on the anime, just because we're manga readers. We knew what was coming, but I do feel like an 8.5 and 9. The anime is there's no pacing problems. Like it's damn near the same thing outside of those copyright issues and stuff you guys were talking about.
All right. I think it's. I haven't watched too much of this season. I've only seen the first episodes. I just told everyone when Mirio is fighting, just call me. That's when I'll come through. I'll keep it real with you guys. That's all I want to see.
So call you around the 19th episode, 20th episode.
That's all I want to see. Mirio throw hands and be goat. But I like it. It is a good job. The only real video I have, other than this one, that's like a My Hero video, was me talking about how Studio Bones did a good job, in my opinion, of the All for One fight with All Might versus All for One. But I was comparing it to because I think that same week, I actually don't remember who animates ties right now. I'm drawing a blank. Is it A1 Studios? Or is it?
Yeah, previously. No,
Okay,
it's,
they did the Esterosa and the Scanner fight, and that shit was booty cheeks, and I was like, "This is." So I did like a side by side. This is how you do it right. Like Bones did it right, and these guys dropped the ball on it. Like so, because I felt like that it's a big moment in the manga for both series, and I didn't. So it's good though. I don't think it's better than the manga either.
You're gonna hate it now because of Studio Dean.
Is Dean doing it now?
Rest in peace.
Hey, man, Dean did some good stuff with Fate though.
Back in the day, but yeah.
They
Now it's a
did
different
stuff with
story.
Fate.
But yeah, that's just generally how I was feeling. So it's good though. It's really good. Who didn't go? BMT. I don't think you said anything yet.
For the anime,
Yeah.
I haven't really been following it, honestly.
Okay. That's fine.
I don't know. Like, I'm just not. Like I just can't really be bothered to watch the episodes unless like, it's like a clip, like clips. Like I watch clips, or like if it's like a moment that I really care about.
I don't watch nothing but clips.
You know what I mean? But
What's up, y'all?
I'm just like, yo, and it's not to say that it's bad or anything like that. I just have no, like man. Real like attachment to it. It's time. Like it's like I can't, like I haven't like the only anime I think I'm watching right now is like Chihaya Furu, and that's about it. Like,
Bro,
like really.
You understand, man? You're named a black manga critic. Got you.
Yeah. I like manga more than I like anime. That's just
Yeah, that's all.
What's been the topic so far?
We just spoke about our favorite, like
characters,
and like arcs. So you can kind of go through that real quick. Kind of give like your favorite 3 characters, favorite 3 quirks, favorite 3 arcs. And right now,
favorite 3 characters.
Yeah, start with that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with niggas gonna hate me. Favorite 3 characters. Endeavor's on one of those 3.
Of course.
You're good. You're clean. Yeah.
That's the best dad. Continue.
I ain't gonna lie. I guess All Might is one of mine too.
You good?
Hey, you 2 for 2 right now.
2 for 2. Like what you talking about? This man said he's gonna hate you. Who's that third pick?
Oh, my third pick. Would you say no? Mineta does go, but my third pick, probably. Now, when we say, but we just mean favorite in general. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, just
It ain't gotta be like.
Got me sweating, bro. What's going?
Okay, my third favorite, I'd probably have to say right now, might be Bakugo.
All right, clean.
3.
Yeah, like what?
Yeah, you good.
2 for 3. 2 for 3.
3 for 3. Nah, he's 2 for 3. He's clean.
This nigga said 2 for 3.
I can't stand Bakugo. We'll get into that later.
Why?
Now, what is it? Arcs?
Yeah, do quirks first.
Quirks? Ooh, top 3 quirks? I'm gonna have to come back to that, bro.
All right, they go with arcs.
I feel that.
Arcs, I'm gonna have to say this one that we're in the anime right now is one of them.
Overall, yeah, go.
Keeping up with the Todorokis.
We are also including manga, right?
Yeah, we are.
This is a
Spoiler warning already out.
The villain shit, the last couple months,
Tell him.
Yo.
that's been pretty hidden. And honestly, I guess in the manga, I would say the arc leading up to the All Might and All for One fight.
So the four
the training camp.
Training,
Camino?
yeah, of course.
Yeah, and also including the fight as well.
So Camino raid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Raid. Okay, Trick came in with what? 200? 200? Damn, that's crazy.
All right. And how do you feel about the anime if you're watching it? Or have
What'd you say?
How do you feel about the anime if you're watching it at all? Do you think it's a good adaptation? Or do you think it's better than the manga or worse than the
I'm
manga?
enjoying the anime. Is anybody else in the call watching it?
Yeah, I am.
I'm waiting for Mirio to fight.
No, I don't know.
I'm waiting to binge it.
I'm watching.
I don't
it week to
know.
week.
How this is structured. Are we getting 12 and a break or what?
Okay,
We're getting the full 24.
You're getting 24 by episode 14, 15, 16 at the most. The overhaul arc will be done, and then they'll do
it's good.
course. Then they'll do a remedial course arc in like one episode basically, and then they'll do the whole gentle fight. And we may or may not get the pro hero. We may or may not get the pro hero.
I was gonna say if they stretch the festival over like from like 15 to 24, and they stretch the festival that long, it's gonna be mid.
So we'll see. We'll see. We still got time, but they may have time. They may put the pro hero, so we don't know yet.
Yeah, I'm not a festival fan.
Haters.
Nah, we good. Yeah, we kind of good off that.
Hate to see it.
That's okay. The world building there, top tier. There we go.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, had we not had the cultural festival, then Redestro and them would have actually came out of nowhere. But you know, that's neither here nor there. We're not into that. We keep moving. What, the cat got your tongue or something? All right, okay.
Who?
Oh, wait, no.
Are we good on the anime? I was muted. I'm sorry. I was talking to myself.
I was eating something. I don't know what's going on.
No, I'm just saying. Can we move on or anything else you want to say about the anime? Anything you want to know?
Nobody else like what he said. Everybody else is basically saying.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're good.
I think we all just kind of agree to not too much to like say that hasn't already been said.
Okay.
They said if y'all already talked about best girl, because don't say Eerie.
I mean, you guys can hop into that right now, real quick, if you want to.
Mountain Lady out. That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, for me, it's between her or Midnight.
Midnight.
Yeah,
Oh,
Midnight.
Midnight.
Only
Yes,
two
sir.
right answers.
Yes, sir.
Midnight cheeks.
And best
Midnight,
boy,
that's it.
and best boy is always Mirio, always, every time.
Oh, Mirio is.
Tokiyami, Bear getting out. Bear getting out.
Okay, can I tie? Can I put Bakugo and Mirio at a tie because this arc also. This arc also puts Mirio on a whole other tier of character.
I love how you got two opposites. Your favorite character. They're nothing alike.
Let me just say one thing. I haven't read the latest chapter, so if you can, let me know. I'll mute or whatever.
Just do it now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, just do it now.
I promise you, I'm like 8 behind. I've been reading it the whole time. I'm not even joking.
He's recording his live reaction as we speak.
We got a whole new topic to dive into on Endeavor, so I need y'all to read that chapter because it's very important. Important.
Because that has to be one of my top 3 favorite chapters. It might be top 1 for me. Of the
this last one is.
Yeah.
Like, hyping it up. Shit, I got everything.
Top 5 for real, like that.
Well, you know, without spoiling it, it's not nothing like overly original, but just the execution of it and the investment. It just invested me into the character. That's why I say he got raised into like he's been like at first when he's first introduced, I don't really feel anything. I'm just like, okay, he abusive dad, you know, he number 2 hero, this, that, and the other. Like I didn't even hate him. I was just like, okay, whatever. Like he probably gonna be a dickhead. And then as we go on, it's just like he got one of the most impactful arcs of the entire thing, like already. And I'm just like, wow. It's like I'm gonna need I'm like even the regular characters don't really feel as strong as this. For most of them, it's like Mirio, Bakugo, and him for me. The 3 most like impacted characters.
Okay.
And that's the thing with like in her, he's got the most layers to his character too. And I think it's like okay, I know it's like a topic for later, but I think Horikoshi did a really good job of like handling the abuse side of things. So it doesn't feel like he is making it sound like it's a good thing. He makes it realistic to where like part of the family will accept it and some of them will just be like, no, not at all. And the other people would like give him time.
Let's not go too much into it because it's a topic for later. But and
those niggas definitely need to read it. pivotal part in his character, and on it added the flag to his plate, so even more so than it already was. But then we gonna discuss that later. But I need these niggas to read the damn chapter.
All right.
I'm reading it now.
Listen,
Well, I guess
the last one I had read up until today was pretty much they started their thing with Endeavor, and that's where I stopped. So I'm almost done. Okay, so let's talk about the series, its general appeal, right? Because I would say it's pretty. Actually, we'll get to that. What do you guys think is the thing that makes this series the most appealing and why it's so popular to people, or at least to you?
It,
Well,
oh, you can go first.
superheroes. Who doesn't love superheroes? Especially
There's
like
a lot of people who don't like superheroes.
that, huh?
There's a lot of people who don't like superheroes.
Anyway, we don't care about them. Anyway, who doesn't like superheroes? And we've never really seen like there are Japanese superheroes. Don't get me wrong, but we've never seen them like feel like so westerny in like the way that they're delivered on screen and stuff like that. And it's just like that's pretty cool. And just like there's kind of a character for everyone, I guess you could say.
literally, yes, there.
You will find a character that you relate to, and most of them get they still need more screen time and more development, but for the most part, all the main people get a decent amount, and they don't just focus on just Deku. Deku is like, I don't feel like Deku is like, well, there's a little bit for later too. Deku is just like great, but he's fine. I like him in the role that he plays. He does his job as the MC, and he doesn't completely overshadow everybody. Everybody feels pretty decent. It still need more layers to a lot of them. Still, we still got a long way to go probably, but I just like how it constantly gets better too. He started off world building, putting the world down, putting the course down, explaining it to you. And I just love, my favorite thing recently is just from the Stain arc.
Yo, who was doing
continue
dishes?
on.
Mute yourself.
I can't even hear that.
No, I have no clue. But I love how he wasn't afraid to get darker in his series, which I really appreciated, because that's something that I'm kind of an edgelord when it comes to certain stuff, and kind of anti-hero-ish. Like, I like Berserk and stuff like that. So the fact that this series is getting darker with some of the themes and the blood and some of the other stuff, I really appreciate personally.
All right, I definitely hop on off the bench now, because it basically started off as your typical air quote shonen, but he already had plans to better, like, make it go in depth and all this and other. It started off normal, but as you get further and further, you start seeing the grading and the breakdown of the black and white. It's not just black and white here in society. You start seeing the grays and the areas just like that. Now, this is why the Stain arc was such a pivotal arc for the entire series. You just see heroes as this glorified position. And when things start breaking it down, like, these niggas just heroes for money. These niggas not doing what they're supposed to really be doing. And then you start seeing how oversaturated and overpopulated the hero society is, and niggas get so complacent that they let anything just slide. Like, oh, you know what? We can't use our quirks. You know what? Heroes are here, there, they everywhere. Step up and do anything because we got them in the abundance. But as Vince was talking about, he already planned. He was already trying to edge it in darker, but his editors actually kept holding him back and restraining him from going more like, don't do this, don't do that, don't get too dark. Try to keep it to a mass appeal for the show in the mainstream. But once we got that bum ass nigga Benji song out here, you know what I'm saying, after the overhaul art, that's when we started going more into detail, more darker and more gritty stuff like that. So I like to try to keep telling people that, like, the series story naturally progresses and gets darker and this, that, and the other. People are like, well, my hero don't need to be dark and this, that, and the other. They don't need to be deaf. Like, you're not paying attention to the natural progression of the story. You think we're going to have an actual war and there not be a single death on the plate? I mean, that's just not common sense. That's just not you reading. Like, it's naturally progressing to this point, and it's always been building each step further and further and further. There's been one death on screen, two deaths. Now people are not realizing that we just had a whole city massacre on screen because half of the bodies were dusted, but they were killed, and it was just fire in the background. But people don't really realize that. But realize that a child just killed his entire family on screen. So I'm trying to get the correlation where you're not getting where this is really going, but neither here or there. But it's just that the characters feel so real. You know what I'm saying? Like, trauma doesn't just go away. People just don't snap and become automatically cool. Deku was built up to become who he was now. He's not the same person he was originally. Like even if you notice how he's been talking shit back with the Bakugo, or he's starting shit with Bakugo beforehand, it's like the little hints if you just pay attention. It's always been like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I could definitely build off of that, and just like you guys were saying, they're all relatable. Like almost every character in this series is some type of relatable. You can relate to a minor character, or you can relate to Deku, depending on who you are. And I feel like everybody kind of likes growth, at least most people. And My Hero does a good job of showing you everyone's growth, or at least up to this point, most of the people's growth. I know there's still other characters that haven't been fully fleshed out yet and stuff like that, and he'll get to that. But for the most part, I feel like those are the two main things that people could kind of relate to is making relatable characters, and then the whole growth aspect. And I feel like that's probably why people latched onto it pretty quickly, on top of the superheroes and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's like the biggest thing. It's just like there's something in it for everybody. Cause I got my girlfriend to watch it, and she absolutely loves it. It's like I think it's her favorite thing next to Vinland Saga that we've watched so far together. And it's just because it's like, right. It's just so relatable, and it's just so easy to watch because like there's like nothing really like this. Like it's simple enough to where everyone can watch it. It really doesn't matter who you are in terms of like age, at least. So
Okay.
nice
For me, there's like a lot of stories that kind of, or at least from the shonen demographic, that do a lot of things right and a lot of things wrong. And I like that My Hero has been staying pretty consistent through characters and its story. As far as like details, themes, all that type of stuff. But it's hold up.
So was that him the whole time doing dishes?
Yeah, it's my roommate in the back. But what was I saying? Yeah, so it's like for me, it's pretty well, and it's pretty well written character drama, and it like the story's pretty detailed, and it's like an interesting take on the superhero genre. Like I don't know, that's kind of how I fuck with it. So yeah, and there's a lot of characters works that I find like pretty interesting. So it's a take.
All right. BMC.
Are we talking about why we like the series?
Yeah, you could talk about why it's important to you, why you like it, or you can talk about why you think it's so popular in general, on a general scale.
Popularity. I mean, I think I think a big part of it is like, I think like a lot of people want both. Like they want the like battle aspects and they want the slice of life stuff in their manga or anime, whatever. And like My Hero gives you both, and it gives you like a good amount of both. So I think for those folks, like, which I think there are a lot of folks out there, like more than people think, that like slice of life like content. So that's I think that's a big part of it. I think also, yeah, like there's a way in which like you can legitimately see like the growth of certain characters like consistently. And I think like Horikoshi never lets you forget that these characters like are in school, that they're supposed to be learning. You know what I mean? It's like, when people complain about, why are they still learning how to do things? Because they go to school. That's what you go to school for. So I think like that's something that people relate to, because a lot of people that are watching it are still in school. And they're like, oh, like, so I think that's a big thing. I think like those two things, like people like a lot of slice of life and battle stuff. They like explosions. But they also like a little like no joking every now and then, and like a little calming sort of stuff and funny stuff. And then folks are still in school and they can relate to these teenagers who are in school who are dealing with like stuff. Like I don't know. That's kind of how I feel about it. And also it has a great soundtrack. So there's that.
Okay.
Can I throw something in there real quick to bounce off of his slice of life comment? I wasn't expecting Horikoshi to take a whole arc out here and there to just do slice of life stuff, give us a whole school festival and all that type of stuff. So that really threw me off in a good way. Like everyone, I mean, at least I know most people like slice of life, even if they don't like to admit it. So to be able to throw that in your shonen and make it work is actually impressive.
To add to y'all saying that real quick, that's kind of funny that y'all bring that up because one of my complaints with a lot of the new shonen and the new manga out recently is that they don't give me time to learn to like these characters and like see them doing stuff during their downtime. It's just boom, 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 fast, fast. We just jump to the next arc right away. It's just like there's nothing that makes me like if a character dies like and within the first 10 chapters, like why should I care? Like I had no attachment to the character. I barely knew who they were. So
Facts.
like when something happens in this manga, somebody changes, they die, they get hurt, you kind of care. Now you might not care about every single character, but it might get something out of it. You might be like, damn, that's at least you'll be like, damn, that sucks.
But if he wants you to feel something for a character, he knows he's gonna do something to it. Then he does. Like it's like Genus. At first you're shocked about it, right? But then you start adding the layers to it. With Bakugo first, he's like you see Bakugo actually start to trust Genus because Bakugo respects strength. He might not be openly admitted to, but he respects strength. You can see he respects strength more than anything. So he decided to learn. That's why he even said during the Christmas chapter, he was like, Bakugo, who you gonna learn? He's like, I ain't learning from no weaklings. Right after he remembered about Genus and he took the hat off to start walking away. It's all these callbacks and character draws that make always make the characters feel real. They're always learning, and you can see them progressing. Even like people like Ida, he hasn't been in the spotlight for action, but they always develop even outside of action, consistently, or they're always doing stuff outside of action. Like in the cultural festival, he stayed up all night to like 1 a.m. But Momo, you can see the bags, the little details, the little bags underneath his worn out eyes as he's stuck there sticking out plans for just to help out his classmates.
I don't have anything important to say, so I'm gonna read John's comment because I like what he had to say. I don't have any input here because you guys liked it a lot more than I do. He said, I feel like My Hero serves as a good bridge between the West and Eastern idea of superheroes. Even though there's still a ton of crazy shonen action, the characters, their problems, and their personalities are all really grounded in a way that a lot of people probably relate to. Darkness in a story ain't bad as long as it's not needlessly edgy. Hori luckily knows how to introduce darker elements into the story without making them be stupid or feel stupid.
I think that's pretty perfect what he said. I couldn't put it into words like that, so I'm glad he said that. But yeah, that's what basically
honestly
with the superhero, with the superhero stuff. Because I'm just like when you like, because I think people underrate the themes of One Punch Man, and obviously people don't. You know, it's more of a way more comedic.
My internet died, y'all. My bad.
Oh, what's up?
It's all good. Obviously, people care more about like the comedicness of it, and you already know what's gonna happen. But I think this is a really good like more serious version of some of the themes and stuff.
Anybody else want to chime in? Life on it.
What did you say?
What?
I don't know what.
Anybody else?
What did I miss?
Didn't you speak on your already?
About what makes this series so
appealing. I was actually them.
Go ahead. Speak. Preach.
Oh.
What you gotta do?
No, because this man's gonna preach for two.
Let's go first because he just got back. So, what do you think makes this series so appealing, or why do you think it's so popular? You could talk about why it's appealing to you, or why you think it's appealing to the general populace.
Why do I think the show was appealing?
The manga show, the story itself, like My Hero.
Okay. Well, just really because not only is it kind of like at the time was it a newer manga, a newer shonen, you know what I mean? But just especially I feel like it in America because, or in the West, I guess you could say, because we're kind of like we're already hip to superheroes, you know what I mean? So it's like to see a superhero manga or superhero manga / anime, it's just basically kind of right up all of our alleys anyway, from the people who watch like Justice League, shit like that, you know what I mean?
Okay. I think the one thing that I hear a lot of people say, I never got this feeling. I don't feel that same level of blending of Eastern and Western heroes to that degree. I don't really see it. I don't know, maybe just me. So they still act very anime / Japanese in my opinion, if you get what I'm saying. I don't know if I really see the blending. I know there's a lot of
you read a lot of both, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part like a lot of us, not a lot of us, but most people kind of dabble, you know what I mean, in some comics, but a lot of people are more manga heads.
Yeah.
I don't know. So they'll probably think, oh, okay, it's kind of comparable, but to somebody that really knows about both, you probably won't really see those comparisons. I mean, those similarities.
I don't think they're not there. I just don't see it as strongly as some people like to say, where it's like there's so many, and I'm like,
Yeah, I think it's more in the background.
there's a couple.
It's easy to pick here and there, but it's when you have a huge selection like you or anybody else that really reads both, then they can be able to say, yeah, it's not a lot. That's just like what I think. A lot of people can just go on the internet and say, well, I seen this panel from Spider-Man or Green, that's why it's in there. But it's, how do I say it? For somebody that's actually reading these comics and is actually ingesting them, then you're not gonna. It's not gonna be as. What were you gonna say?
I think it's the selection of like taste. He's obviously pulling from a specific genre for comics, and it's kind of more in like the background is sort of like minor detail that kind of like if you read the story just to kind of read the manga, as just like adding it to stories you've already read or currently read, it's not going to be as like in the foreground. But when you start to like, the more you invest into the My Hero Academia, like the more you're going to start picking up on these things. But again, it's still a very he's pulling from a very small selection of that genre.
John made a really good point, because I would have to really be paying attention, but he just pointed out a really good one to me about the purple man. So how primary color is purple. It's kind of Billy's brainwashing, similar to the Purple Man. I don't know if you ever read Jessica Jones stuff, so that's actually
That's it.
I would have to really pay attention to catch that. That was a good point. I didn't even think about all that
details like that. Yeah.
All right, so move on to the next topic. Let's talk about the hero himself, number one hero in the world, Izuku Midoriya, aka Deku. Is he a good main character, and why do you guys think he's so polarizing?
I'll let y'all go first. I can rant all day. So.
Okay, all right. So the polarizing part, I think people just kind of have this weird thing about him just like seemingly crying so much. Like he's like every time you see him look up at the screen, he's crying or yelling or screaming, and you're just like, "You good, bro?" Like, but it's not like. Well, for me, like first of all, that's not the first time I've seen that. It's like I watched Dead Man Wonderland and like,
oh god,
it annoyed me. Future Diary, Yuki, he annoyed me.
Oh man,
and Neon Genesis Shinji, he annoyed me. But it's funny that Deku, even though he does do that, he don't really annoy me. Like it's obvious. Like to me, everything that the way Deku is obvious. It makes sense. It's straightforward. Everything about him, it's kind of generic in a way, but his progression just makes logical sense. It's just like if you're somebody who relates to him a lot, you're gonna love him. If you're somebody that hates characters like that, you're gonna hate him. For me, he's fine. He plays his role. He does a good job, and he doesn't really take away from any of the other characters. Down the road, he's gonna be number one, or at least in the one of the best heroes in the world. But he plays his role perfectly fine. I think he does a good job, and he gets better. And I also like the little tidbit of him just being kind of like, I don't want to say smarter than the average hero, but I like that he thinks a lot and tries to have little strategies here and there when he fights, especially at the beginning, because that's how he had to get a step ahead till he learns how to control these powers. And he does mess up. He's not perfect, I think Horikoshi does a good job with him. I think he's good, not great. He might be great by the end of the series. Have to wait.
Okay.
To go off that, it's not really my opinion on it, but it's more so like just what Vince was saying is that especially anime Twitter, it's like people have preferences to what they like, and the more like My Hero Academia, the more these mangas are getting exposed to more and more people, it's like the more you're going to get like a variety of different like opinions, like regardless whatever. And when it comes to like Midoriya as a character, I think it just kind of throws a lot of people off that coming from who have such strong preferences and bias towards characters that like keywords are like sauce, it hits, like stuff like that, right? We're looking for a certain kind of criteria when it comes to their main character, and Midoriya kind of throws them off, and obviously things with like he's weak in the beginning, he cries, he has drip, whatever you want to say, like it kind of reduce certain characters to these keywords that I mentioned, but it is what it is. Like, yeah.
I feel like Deku's a good main character. Like you were saying earlier, he fits his role. Like he does what he's supposed to do. As we were all saying earlier, it's because he's relatable, and I feel like, I mean, you guys pretty much hit a lot of my points. He what's it called? I'm sorry, I lost my whole train of thought. I got a message popped up, and I just lost my train of thought. But like he's not perfect, so we see him breaking his arms, breaking his fingers, figuring things out. A lot of the times we get these main characters that are broken. We get what is his name, Meliodas, that is just, there's growth for him, but he's on this broken type of level. We got these typical shonen MCs, and Deku is a little different. He's human, you know what I mean? Like he starts off human compared to all these other characters that are always a step ahead somehow, even if they can't control their powers fully or anything like that. He has to not only figure out, starting from the beginning, he doesn't have any quirk, and then he gets his quirk, but then he has to figure out how to use, not only how to use that quirk, but get his body right to be able to take that quirk. It's a lot more intricacies with him.
And he's consistent, which is like a bonus. As far as like, there's never anything that kind of like breaks the pre-established rules for his character all that too much. That kind of like where you're reading something and all of a sudden it's just way left. Damn, nigga died. Yeah, he just goes way left, and you don't see that with Midoriya's character too much. So that's kind of like the approach, an aspect that I like too.
BMC, I just saw what you wrote. I don't.
Small comment, real quick. So one thing is that what I noticed is, because I was like, I think somebody said it in the chat too. It said like none of us had them in our top 3 characters. I don't think not a single person in here. None of us had them in the top 3.
Yeah, you're right. I'm pretty sure.
I'm not a Deku fan. I don't. Contrary to popular belief, I don't actually hate him, but he's not. He doesn't interest me.
Well, that's what I say. I was like, he still has a way to go. He could become a great character. We're just not there yet.
Yeah, I feel like at the end he's gonna appeal to a lot of people.
He is Horikoshi, so he's zero. He go to beyond belief for me.
He strikes me as a character that I could understand from a writing standpoint. I'm like, there's nothing inherently wrong. There's no inconsistencies or anything of that nature. But he just doesn't appeal to me, and I don't need to relate to a character like him. There's lots of characters I don't relate to that I like. I like Shinji. I don't relate to Shinji. He a loser. I don't have bad. I like Suna. I don't get zeros on every test. Like I'm not like I don't relate to them, but I like Suna. So I don't know. I'll just say this, and you guys can go on. I want to talk about why I think he's so polarizing. I think it's ultimately kind of what you guys were talking about preferences, but I just think like most people have a tendency to gravitate to like the really cool, raw, kind of fearless character. I don't think people people don't really like characters that like I always say, like, the reason why I like Usopp a lot is because unlike Luffy, he's actually not. Luffy's fearless. I don't think Luffy really gets to understand the concept of being scared, right? Whereas Usopp, he's a coward. He run around, make up lies. Oh, my stomach hurts. Can't go to this honor disease. But when the moment counts the most, he'll stand up for himself, even though he's still shaking and he's scared. Because like Zabelli said, true courage is knowing what fear is and still standing up for yourself. In like part 1 of JoJo, and I agree with that. And Deku to me embodies that. Even though like to me he doesn't look cool when he's being brave because he's still sweating, his lips all squiggly, and his eyes are so big. But it's like he's trying, and I could appreciate that. But sometimes I just need the sauce. That's all. I don't know what to tell you.
That MC.
You get what you.
So Who we got left?
Could I go
We
next?
got,
Go ahead.
yeah, BMC.
I think like there are two things I guess I kind of want to say about I guess Deku. I think one I forgot who it was, but someone shared that like Horikoshi like actively tried to make Deku like a little bit more boring or something like that. Like he was like actively trying to do that. Like he wasn't trying to make him, like
Was it the interview with Kubo?
like a nod to
with him and Kubo?
I think
He
so.
said that, I think he said in the Kubo interview.
Yeah.
The Kubo,
He's like he doesn't know why he made Deku so boring, but people took that and they ran with it the wrong way. Like
yeah, and it's like to me, I'm like okay, like I mean I don't know why he said that because I mean still gonna be who he the character's still gonna be who the character is, but like I think for me there are two things like. To me, I'm like Deku. That's fine for me. I like he's not in my top 3. I still think he's a great character, but he doesn't have to be like your favorite. Like characters don't have to be like your favorite characters or anything like that. So I don't really understand that like when people get like super heated about that. I don't really get that at all. I'm like y'all doing too much. But two things. One, the crying stuff is wild. I think like that gets on my nerves. People are like, what you like, because some people are like jokey about it and they're like trolling, and that's fine because it's funny and it's whatever. And then there are those folks out there who like, have some trauma or whatever it is they're dealing with, and like, repressed emotions or something, and they haven't cried in like 25 years, and it's like, yo, you gotta go see a therapist, figure that out, seek help, okay? But like, don't take that out on a fictional character. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, who cries? Which is very healthy. He's a teenager. You know what I mean? Like, good. He's not gonna have to go seek help. All right. So for me, that's wild. Like that I don't really get that. So those who take it like take that very seriously. And the second thing is like the sauce thing is like it also makes me laugh. I always just get a chuckle out of that. It's funny. But I think there are other folks who like, he's funny. It's funny. But like some folks really actively out here like annoyed that that Deku has no sauce, and it's like I think that's kind of the point. Like he's not really supposed to have sauce. He was bullied. He never really went to any school dances. Like you know what I mean? Like he can't dance. He has no rhythm, right? Like when you read the school festival, like that's kind of the point. Like it's like if he had sauce, Mina would be like, all right, you got it, Deku. But it's like he has zero sauce. Mina's like he has so little sauce that Mina's like, all right, we can't even use him as a dancer. We can't even do that because no. So they had to sideline him. That's how little sauce he got. So it's like when people are like he has no sauce. I'm like, well, okay.
Well, it's also like this narrative really wouldn't work if he was a better character already. Like if he was already good, we wouldn't be able to do the things we do, and we wouldn't be able to give other characters the shine we do, because we see how in other forms of medium, like webtoons, for example, a lot of the main characters are very cool, overpowered, and just like those type of tropes and archetypes. And every time they're not on the screen, the majority of the fan base screams for them to get back on the screen.
Yeah.
But in My Hero, this allows this to work because you don't really see people like, where Deku at? Put Deku back on the screen. Like that, so that allows characters like Mirio and Bakugo and Todoroki and Endeavor to have their place and shine.
I would say that it shocks me that he tends to take away focus from the main character so often, and it doesn't actually hurt the series, because I heard it's a big deal in Japan. They hate that. They hate when the main character is not the focus.
Well, they hate it. They every time I think they like something, they hate it. So I don't really understand them in general.
Villain Academia arc, they cut that shit short.
They never like the things I think they're gonna like. So I can't understand them 100%.
Yeah, they were pressuring him. They were trying to put the pressure back to get because the old heads did not approve of My Villain Academia. Like one of the CEOs or something was talking about, not the jump, but he was talking about it's kind of like taboo for them to focus on the villains and make the villains protagonists in Japan. But he had deleted the statement because he started getting a lot of backlash from it and shit like that. Horikoshi isn't worried about appealing. He isn't worried about, y'all want the MC back? Let me cave in and let me do this, do that. He's worried about telling his fucking story. If he's not worried about playing it, hearing everybody cry and stuff like that. He knows what he wants to tell because he already has the ending in mind and planned out. It's just how we're getting in there, a little bit more execution. But even through that, he's already got foreshadowing all throughout the fucking series. for things to come, set up chapters ahead and shit like that.
Yeah, the way he was, like you said, the way he was setting it up, he like when you're doing that kind of stuff, especially like you have to have times where where you're with the bad niggas. You know what I'm saying? Kind of.
Yeah.
He did take it to another level, I would guess you could say, because I don't remember like, yeah, we would get glimpses of what the Akatsuki and shit were doing, and like Naruto
Yeah,
and
but
shit
you
like
didn't get a
that.
whole arc. Yep.
We generally
Yeah,
had the
but
villains already established and far more powerful than the main character, and they're constantly working their way up to be able to challenge him on that level. As
yeah,
opposed
and
to,
here's the thing, like
yeah, go ahead.
I don't know how old Shigaraki is or whatever, but
23.
when you really you said what?
23.
23.
Yeah, okay, so now when you really scale it, like he's grown and he ain't ready. You know what I'm saying? So he's gotta grow. So you gotta kind of focus on that while you're focusing on the kids growing up, because right now it's not only kind of unfair because it's like these are grown men running around, like, and these are like the people that these kids are supposed to fight at the end of what I feel like these kids are supposed to fight at the end of the story. So it's like you kind of got to give them both time to grow and ascend.
Well, they're all some parallels of each other. Their growth of the main character and the growth of the main villain are happening at the same time, along with their crews.
Let's see, yeah, thank you, Vince. Touch on that. People don't really notice that every time they notice that like every time Deku boosts his quirk, Shiggy gets something in return. Shiggy elevates himself through a mindset, whether it be failure or not. He always failure for Shiggy is extreme growth in every regard, and they already stated it's like you have so much more to grow and learn. So every time something happened to Deku, something also happened to Shiggy. It's like it's going hand in hand. So like when Deku had his infinite 100%, and he had to do, and he had gained a new level and more access to his power and this that and other. Guess what happened with Shigaraki? The quirk bullets, and now that coming back later on, the doctor can mass produce those quirk erasing bullets and coming through. So Deku got his 6 quirks. Shigaraki got 100K, and he getting more power. Then he getting more power than before, and he got the high end. So whichever way you want to scale it, each time he's always clapping back. But the thing I love about it most is they're not colliding. Shigaraki's the furthest. Like, Deku's the furthest thing for Shigaraki's mind right now. This nigga do not care about him. He cares about the world, which is why we're gonna touch about whenever y'all ready. I want to talk about Deku, but we're gonna have a topic all the incorrect stance that All Might should have died at Kamino. That's an incorrect stance, and I'm gonna prove it today. I'm gonna prove that shit today because that shit is it's so overly stated. All Might should have died at Kamino, but you're not paying attention to the narrative if you say that.
How did you guys feel about the 6 quirks thing, though?
I'm gonna touch
It
on
was
that.
hilarious
Yeah,
when it first happened.
I was gonna say
I made a joke that he was a boneless Ben 10. That's the joke I made back in the day when it first happened. But no, it's whatever. Like to me, like it's funny to make those jokes and whatever, but I'm fine with it until I see how it's executed, and then I can form my opinion. Because I don't know how to feel about something that I haven't seen done yet. So right now, it could seem like absurd, but if he gives me a decent explanation in a good use, I'll be fine. So
Yeah,
the jury's still kind of out for me.
I think the biggest thing is that like everyone just assumes that all the courses he's gonna get are gonna be very useful, like combat wise. I just don't envision it being that way. Like everyone just assumes he's gonna turn into like the Avatar basically, and I feel like half of them are just gonna be like support quirks or something that like may or may not help him in combat. So it's a balance kind of thing.
I don't know about that because like I feel like later on if he has to surpass certain people, like eventually those support quirks are going to be like utilized in a way that they're just kind of helped in tangent with his already busted. But I do understand what you mean. I think the growth and as far as like his progression through strength, durability, all that stuff, like it's going to be pretty natural, and it's been pretty like if it's been flowing with congruent with the story pretty well. So I don't think that's an issue. But yeah, waiting to see how it plays out. When I first, heard it, it was tough to swallow. But after like conversations and just really thinking about it, I just kind of took a seat back and said, I'm going to let him write the story, that he wants to write, and see what's up and go from there.
All right, I'm about to go on about Deku. I'll keep it quarter short rather than
Same. I have something to say about Deku too. But
yeah. Okay, you want to go or what?
Yeah, I'll be quick. I just wanted to say, like, as far as like we were talking about My Villain Academia and Midoriya's character before, but it's like it's for me like it speaks volumes when you see like a writer kind of navigating the plane as far as what Shonen Jump is, because it's kind of hard to you kind of have certain restrictions like here and there, and it's like how creative like you can be with like writing an arc like that is it. Yeah, I have major respect that he was able to kind of for the most part pull it off. Um, and we got to see like Shigaraki just like go through all of that. I don't think it was as possible to be, but given for what it was and circumstances, like I have major respect. But for Midoriya, um, we were talking earlier about just certain characters that we've seen before like this, or that kind of or worse off, or people the fandom doesn't really particularly enjoy reading about or standing. But as far as I appreciate that it didn't go the route where it's kind of like over dramatized. As far as like yeah, he's bullied. Yeah, he's he has this thing with Bakugo and all of that, and it's like it touches on like realistic real life portrayal, but it doesn't like overdo it to the point where it becomes like this thing that the story suffers from. And that's kind of why like I appreciate it. Like he is who he is, and whether or not you find him relatable doesn't really matter, because it's just kind of it's all part of how Midoriya's whole character arc is he's going through these, and how he interacts with all these other kids and heroes, and he makes these decisions. It's all just kind of flowing in the way Horikoshi writes the story, and yeah, I have respect for that. So that's it.
All right, well,
Jules.
thank you, Rick. Well, to go on about Deku, I go on for a whole full rant, but I'll keep it short for stream's sake, because I'm not because I was sad about
10 hours.
10-hour stream.
All right, but for it. Nah, Deku was truly made. See, on my first read, I had to think like my second reread of My Hero is when I really appreciate Deku. Like I truly appreciate Deku, like who he was. I hadn't seen, because you just go straight through the story, you don't really realize how far he's really how far he's come, as like just his personality, not even his stats as a character, stuff like that. As far as he's come, people get that whole crying shit. It's like, dog, you got to realize the times when he did actually cry. Like if your hero, you had no chance. So say whatever you got, dream for whatever career you wanted since a child. But they told you couldn't do this shit. I don't care what career path you wanted, something you wanted, and the motherfucker told you couldn't do this shit. But your idol, the person you hold higher than damn near base as a god, told you can do this shit. You can do that. Of course you cried. If they put some people put faith in you, and you never had faith in you before. Your own damn mama didn't put faith in you. Of course you start getting emotional, nigga. The fuck? I'm like, yeah, I feel like, okay, this start making sense. But the whole he's still crying thing, the whole bones break thing, that nigga ain't broke his bones since damn near they got down. He ain't broke his bones since the forest arc, and he had to do that. He ain't fucking cried since this last episode. He cried during Night Eye's death, yes, but of course you cried during somebody you actually value death. Come on now. The last time he cried for, I guess you want to chop it off as a reason, just being emotional time when he was talking to Eden and Shelter. That's the last time he technically cried for just a effy reason, if you want to go about it.
People hold on to that. It is what it is.
Yeah, people want to hold on to that, but it is what it is. And people don't seem to realize, like, yeah, this soft thing it's funny, I understand, but it's like, you got to realize there's going to be a time skip. Most likely after the war, there's going to be a time skip. The drip, people be realizing, like, these kids have no soft things. They're kids. Every single one of these kids has upgraded their costumes since the first time we started the series. Go back and look at every single costume. It's upgraded in one way or another. These are just rough drafts, and you keep seeing people grow. Deku the most. He's always getting new gear, this, that, and the other. So by the time I'm gonna be laughing by the time the time skip happens and drip really comes, and people gonna be crazy. Don't act like he didn't draw your favorite characters. Don't like he didn't do Shigaraki, Hawks, Endeavor. You think he's not gonna draw Sauce in the MC? Is the most prominent character in the story. I mean, come on now. It's like,
I think a lot of people confuse that with just how he looks, though. Because for me, like I was saying earlier, it's your demeanor and the things you do. It's like a girl talks to me, like, oh my god, a girl talked to me. I'm like, you bum. What's wrong with you? Just be normal. Why are you acting like this? Like,
yeah.
Sauce is not literally just like how you're dressed. Well, how he's dressed to me is fine. He doesn't look. He doesn't
persona.
He looks fine. What?
Yeah, even in that, it's like his. Remember?
Yeah,
okay, take his first interaction with Bakugo when they fought. They did the team battles, the villains, heroes versus villains thing. He was like, I gotta win, and he was got tears in his eyes, and he was shaking and trembling. So then compared to the joint trainer arc, he was like, "Oh, we finna." He pulled down his leg, like, "We finna win this bitch." The confidence keeps boosting up, boosting up. The more you go on,
Yeah.
it's not. And what I love about My Hero and Deku the most is it's not just what I always had a pet peeve about MCs was like they'll develop, they'll be wusses outside of a fight, but then these niggas be an OP as newfound god during the fight, and then we come
Yeah.
back out the fight, it's the same nigga with the same tropes with the same people. I'm like, this nigga just didn't do the shit he did. Like what the fuck? Like, but Deku be growing outside of that. Like you can see his confidence always there each and every time compared to how he first was, stuff like that.
Well,
Like,
let me just. I'm
yeah,
gonna
go
throw
ahead,
this
Shane.
out for you. It's just like if you imagine like your favorite characters, like in like how, or just even your favorite superhero, All Might, or if you you fuck with Endeavor and stuff like that. It's like you see how like clean or well portrayed they are. It's like imagine at a certain point like what he's gonna do for his MC. Like it's slow, but it's like because I think people kind of want that quick progression for their character, but at a certain point, like yeah, I do believe Midoriya will be on that level as far as like what you were talking about earlier tonight. But we'll see, of course. Go ahead.
Yeah, he'll definitely. Yeah, but I could keep on going. But it's just like I think I throw this in there now and then again later. Somebody quote up my boy Ndot on goddamn on Twitter. He I want to quote this phrase. This story is not called Deku. A lot of people tend to get like that Naruto PTSD when the sixth court thing happened, but I already knew where this was going. Like I was like, okay, I understand a little bit worried, but it's been over like 100 something chapters, like 200 something chapters, and he still has yet to ever like Deku has yet to overshadow like everybody. The kids don't Deku doesn't overshadow people. He doesn't like take over people's storylines or what they got going on, stuff like that. Everybody has their own storyline. Everybody feels real like a person. And in the fact, Deku hasn't been the main character, the main like spotlight for the last four arcs. If you really look at it, you can say his match in the joint trainer arc, he wasn't taking over everybody else's
Do you
matches
think
and
that's a
stuff
good
like
thing
that.
or a bad thing?
It's
I would
definitely
say
a
it's
good
a
thing because
good thing.
he's there, but he gives other people's time to shine. Like even in the cultural festival, he wasn't really the MC. Like he wasn't the one getting power ups and a backstory. That was Gentle. Rereading that shit, that was Gentle's arc. He was the one getting power up. He was the one getting the backstory like a typical MC would during the fight.
Yeah, I
So
mean, you
like
could say
Deku,
that from.
yeah,
You could also like make that argument from like the beginning of the story, because from the beginning of the story to like, I guess like the end of All for One and One for All, or All for One and All Might, everything has been centered around someone other than Deku, and he's just like near it because he's like season one they attack or their training exercise to kill All Might. Then in season two, you have Stay. The whole Stain stuff happens because of Lita, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the pro or the sports festival, and that's like Todoroki's whole arc, and everything else is like basically pushing Deku to like slowly become the like the center or the spotlight character, but by just putting him like near everything else. So it gives everyone else more time to focus. So he like slowly grows up as like a person, and you kind of see it like happening more now in like the anime and like where he is now in the manga, if that makes sense.
I feel it.
for sure. All right, we
We can go
can
to
yeah
the next topic, high key.
yeah.
It's been so well.
Said I.
I mean, did everyone kind of say what they wanted to say about Deku? Anyone want to chime in, or we're good?
No, I kind of agree with basically everything you guys are saying.
All right.
Yeah.
So we'll start with this part of the question first. What do you think it means to be a hero in this narrative? And the reason why I asked this is because depending on the story that you read, morality, ethics are skewed. It depends on how the story likes to portray. So in a certain story, you might be reading, right? To take a life is just heinous. Absolutely, just could not do that. It'll make you a terrible person. Absolutely reprehensive, right? Well, there'll be another story where think of it like a Black Lagoon. They just killing niggas left, right, and center. So like for you to take a life would not be a big deal in that kind of story. So you have to take the level of what's righteous and evil to that extent by narrative in a vacuum. So in this story, what do you think it means to be a hero? Based on the way it portrays it.
Oh, who gonna go first? Say if not.
I was just kind of thinking it's going. I really think it's really kind of, well, especially with the last chapter, I think it's really traditional as far as, kind of like you were saying, it's, Black Lagoon or even some other shows. It don't matter as far as like you getting the job done. You got to kill a nigga. You got to kill a nigga. You know what I mean? But I think this one really kind of just sticks to like the bread and butter of you're trying to save everyone. You know what I'm saying? You typically they don't. They're basically All Might basically continues to just capture One for All. You know what I mean? That dude that ending in the recent chapter in the manga, he was captured once already by Endeavor, and he basically was begging for. He was literally like begging Endeavor for death. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, and Endeavor was like, that's not what we do. You know what I'm saying? So even though Bakugo kind of blast around saying he's gonna kill everybody, I think the bottom line of the story is for them not to.
For me, I don't have a complete 100% grasp on the narrative all the time for this particular story. But for me, at least how I've interpreted like being a hero, at least recently, is that being a hero is not necessarily about being the strongest and having the best quirk and all that. But it's just if you want to be a hero, it's obviously putting your mindset to it and all that, the generic, but it's just like finding your proper role. Because I was having this discussion when Shinsui was talking about it. Shinsui was like, Suya is Suya is she's a support hero. Like she is never going to probably be that one out in the main front lines, just like dusting villains. That's
I said this.
What she does. Well, you alluded to. We were talking about that. Yeah,
I forgot.
2 hour 2-hour soliloquy.
I sleep, bro.
But yeah, so we were talking about it. It was just like she's not gonna be out there necessarily doing that, but she has a role to play. If you're gonna be a hero, you don't need to be the one being the All Might, the Bakugo. You're not everybody's gonna be the strongest, but we need all those different heroes. We need ones that are gonna save civilians, that are gonna stop the natural disasters, that are gonna just do the right thing. I mean, Miro sacrificed his powers for a child. And that's like one of the most powerful, strongest things you could do, and one of the hardest things you can do. He don't have a quirk anymore. He's basically a regular person. But that's one of the most heroic things you could ever do. Like me personally, it would be hard for me to be in this story because I'm not really a hero person. I'm definitely more vigilante anti-hero because for me, especially when it comes to villains, like I'll save people. Like I actually like that's not the part of me that is the problem. Like I have no issue saving people and doing stuff like that. But for me, it's more about like if I see a villain, it's really hard for me to just want to throw them in jail. Like especially if somebody's like Shigaraki, it's like nah, he need to go. He's a psychopath. He gotta die.
Yeah, that dude. Get
So
that guy.
like yeah, so it's just like for me, I'd never because like also one thing I've heard along. I don't remember where I heard it, but to be a great hero and to be just a powerful person, you have to have the strength to uphold that. And it's just like because you always have to come out on top. So it would be difficult for me to be a hero. So that respect factor for somebody like All Might or the guys at the very top, and it's like even though they have complex like Endeavor, like we see him as a child abuser and not necessarily the greatest guy on the earth, but he's still a really good hero. It's crazy how that works. It's just like behind closed doors, he's different.
He gets the job done.
But yeah, he does his job and he does it well, and he's really smart.
And really, we kind of say it's almost kind of like the Vegeta syndrome, where it's like he was, like Vegeta was so focused on basically catching Goku, and like Endeavor is, focused on catching All Might.
That's true.
So
can I go next?
Of course.
Okay, you
go ahead.
Wait, Trent, you done?
Oh yeah, I was just saying, he kind of.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
I was just saying he's kind of like mirroring him, as far as like, maybe some of the fatherly-ish tactics, even though Vegeta really wasn't like Vegeta was no level like that, It feels like with the Todoroki situation, that was, we got a lot of that was more of the we kind of hated him for what he kind of made his mom do, and we don't really kind of like, we don't really focus on like the fact that he really didn't do that, you know what I'm saying? Or he didn't go to that extent, but we know the nigga was fucked up. But everybody kind of deserves some type of, I won't say deserves some type of redemption, but what else is he gonna do? Either continue to be a shitty person or, do what he does.
That's
But
why
yeah,
it's
that's
called
it.
atonement. Atonement.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Somebody was like the proper phrase meant for is more of atonement than redemption.
Yeah.
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 I don't know what we're talking about, but yeah.
BMC, go ahead.
All right. So for me, I guess like what it means to be a hero. I mean, like it's like I think Horikoshi's done a great job of sort of just making it like way like nuanced in a good way, because like consistently like 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 what was that was it Vince that was saying that, we was talking about like how it was
Yes.
like everyone like to like find like your role and like figuring out like what is that you can do. And I think what's great with the way Horikoshi does that is like it's not like straight up in your face. It's like here's this instance, here's this like narrative, moment, and here are these like plot points. And like let's say like some people are like, oh, let's say with like a Deku versus Genso, some people are like, man, that's not useful. Why is he fighting this dude? Like, what's the point of this? Da 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 da. And it's like most of the fights that Deku has had up until that point have pretty much been like massive, like like straight up like out of like a Western comic like villain, right? Like or a Power Rangers episode kind of villain, right? Super Sentai, whatever you want to call it. And so it's like so Deku has gotten to this place where I think in a lot of ways he's been like, oh, all my fights these massive sort of types of villains. I must be a type of hero that probably fights those kinds of villains too. And then he has to meet this dude who just like makes YouTube videos. You know what I mean? And is just trying to get by. And he has to, and during the fight, he has to empathize. He starts to empathize with this dude in a way that, in a lot of ways, he would not empathize with these like Super Sentai Power Ranger type villains who you're just like, all right, let's get the Megazord and beat and like blow them up. Right? Yeah. I don't gotta empathize with those dudes or those folks. But like with Gentle, you like he finds that he has to, because Gentle is a more complicated character and villain than all those other types of villains. And when it comes to like what it means to be a hero, like one thing that Horikoshi's doing there is like you're not gonna have to fight all these like intense villains who you know what you have to do. You have to pound them into the ground and that's it. You're gonna have to deal with some folks who are just going through it, and they're complicated, and you got to figure out whether like okay, do I just have like how do I deal with them? Do I just do them? Do I make sure that like like what's gonna you don't know what's gonna happen? So he has to figure out how to deal with all that stuff. And like part of being a hero is, again, not just the massive villains you're gonna have to face, but the everyday sort of villains. And I put that in quotes because Gento's not really a villain. He's just like a dude trying to figure things out, and he just what I mean. So I think that's one instance that's really great that Horikoshi sort of does. And that's why I think Deku versus Genso is a really important like fight for that, for sort of like defining sort of like Deku's heroism. And like when you see like sort of other moments, it's like, yeah, like Vince was saying, like, what's your role? What can you do? What like how is your quirk going to be most helpful? And it's like if you sort of see like Vigilantes, it's like you got the main character, and I think he's sort of figuring that stuff out. I haven't read all of it, but it's like, is your quirk useful for fighting like an all for one? No, right? Like the pro tag of Vigilantes is not fighting all for one, right? Like that's not going to happen. But it's like, what's your role? What kind of hero can you be? Who can you help? And that's what's really important,
right?
And
absolutely. And to piggyback
and
off
like,
that, another thing
sorry, go
I
ahead.
say
Yeah.
too. No, my bad. Another thing I was just gonna say real quick is just kind of, and they talked about this kind of with All Might, but I kind of feel like this with the other heroes too. It's just upholding that shield of what it means to being a hero. Like even if you're not the strongest hero, like you have to, and even if you're afraid or anything like that, you have to uphold this certain level of whether it be professionalism or just like um kind of grandiose about you to like inspire future generations and keep the hope alive, because that's one of the most important things. But continue. Just one.
And the last thing I wanted to say before I finish is like when we get that conversation with All Might and Endeavor, that's probably one of the best things I think that Horikoshi could have done because and not just like the question, but the way that All Might answers it because it's like you're expecting, maybe at least for me, I was expecting All Might to like try to say something like inspirational. But what I love is like Horikoshi just like All Might's just like I don't know what to tell you, man. You got to figure that out for yourself, like And it's just such a like like Endeavor's just like expecting all this from this like figure from this like person that he put on a pedestal, and to get that answer is just like that must have like sucked. That must have sucked. But it's like it was a necessary answer because it's like, dude, like Endeavor like has to realize that like the heroism that in that sense, in terms of like trying to be number one, that's like in a lot of ways, in some instances, it can help sort of save people. But when it comes to like sort of like heroism and trying to be a hero, in a sense, it's kind of messy and it's kind of like it kind of feeds into this like really like what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of like muddy, like gross, like capitalist sort of like competition sort of like idea of like
propaganda.
what it means to be, you know what I mean? Right. Where it's just like, I want to be number one. And it's like, don't you just like, why isn't being a hero enough for you? Why do you have to be the number one hero? What's that about? And I think that's sort of the things that I think is like really interesting, at least with that sort of conversation. Yes, he should have realized it like, yo, like maybe I just need to, like, he's already number one. Like, why, like, I don't know. Right. I haven't thought it out too much, but I kind of the gist is sort of like,
I think it perfectly segues into the next question though. Like the true worth of being a symbol of peace, and can he ever be that? Can he be that?
I gotta go because I have to. I promise I was supposed to do a podcast thing today with the My Hero podcast, so I'm gonna go and hop and do that. But I wish I could talk about the Endeavor stuff because I want to get to that. But I don't know. I'll see. I want to see what y'all have to say about it.
By anyways, I appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah. See you, man.
All right. Later.
All right.
The black manga critic, and he out.
I'll start with that one. What it means to be the symbol of peace, and what that could be the next symbol of peace. I think that gets that's as far as where the story is going. And no, he won't be the symbol just of peace. I think somebody said once he'd be the symbol of hope because because the hero society is finna fall. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's finna fall, and it will crumble, and they have to rebuild it back up. But as you've seen the story, they already stated we can't rely on one man anymore. We have to start doing shit ourselves. Like even police forces, that like we can't sit idly by and just what are we gonna fucking do? Sit on our hands until the heroes actually catch some villains? We have quirks. Why are we using them? We had to start making some changes around here. So the police force is actually coming back later on about that. Catch that. But it's like it's gonna be Deku and Cole on like the Avengers, the Justice stuff. Like yeah, you have Deku and Vision be like I guess a Superman, but you can't. But Deku can't be everywhere. Just like you said, Deku is an action hero. He's the main lead. He's the almighty. Bakugo's like you said, it's already stated in the first like couple of chapters. Like there's different types of heroes. You got the rescue heroes. You got the you got the media heroes. You have all types of heroes for all types of things. So it's not just gonna be Deku. I'm the symbol of hope. Nobody else matters. I'm top one. No, it'll be multiple pillars. They're not just gonna put their faith in one person again. Because what happens when that one person falls? They've already seen it, and they're really gonna really gonna see what happens.
As Midoriya as a character, the whole point of showing you like why All Might, that whole kind of philosophy worked for that time, and why ultimately going to fail, is because that putting your faith into one person, as far as like your whole hero society, doesn't work. And eventually, like Class 1A, in particular, Midoriya is going to elevate everyone else to kind of like heroes themselves supported as a whole. That's kind of like the whole point is Midoriya as a character, so that there won't be another sort of number one. It's kind of just, yeah, he could be the strongest, whatever, but there's other people that, as a whole, everyone kind of looks to heroes, as it should be in the beginning. Not just like, okay, All Might's here, like we're taken care of, and kind of undermine like everyone else. So that's kind of the approach that's taken. But yeah, take it as it is.
Okay, well, how about like the part where it relates to Endeavor? Like no one.
What happened?
The part where it relates to Endeavor.
Like I said, what's
Oh,
the
what?
true worth of being a symbol of peace, and can Endeavor be that? I don't know why Deku did that.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
Oh,
I was
That's
going
not
off
what I
ease.
asked. That's not what I asked.
I checked. Endeavor, as far as ultimately, like, it's not going to work for him because he's kind of filling in the shoes for All Might and sort of kind of like that passing of time. And he's going to sort of like outside of like the whole Shoto family stuff, him just like changing from as far as like when he was aggressed and now he's kind of trying to seeking atonement and all of that. And he's doing his best, but at a certain point, like what East was talking about earlier, Shigaraki is like the next plan in for the league is kind of sort of the fall of that. And so Shigaraki ultimately is going to showcase why what Endeavor did or what he's trying to replicate isn't going to work.
Right.
And so, yeah.
I also think Endeavor just doesn't have the personality for it, I guess you could say. Even though he's getting better as a person and as a hero, I just personally don't think he has the strength of character to
You need to embody
be
more than just cases. Yeah.
right. Yeah, he just doesn't fit it.
But
And
that's
then,
why. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. No, go ahead.
That's why I asked what it means to be a symbol of peace. Why is all you guys said All Might's way doesn't work because you put too much stock into one person. But All Might is obviously shake old lady's hands, kiss your baby type of hero. Why can't there never be a different type of number one where okay maybe he's not on camera like doing what All Might would do, but he just gets the job done. Just cold, calculated, and keep everyone safe. How come, what makes that worse?
That's not something. When you're a symbol of peace, that's kind of goes back to the point where I say you have to uphold a certain level of because he has a professionalism. He's a professional, but it's just it's kind of more than that. You have to inspire future generations, and
But is he protecting
it's a
people?
lot more.
Well, yeah.
But,
See,
people aren't so simple. I mean, I know you're just asking a question. You know that, but the politics of life.
Yes.
Shinsui was telling me the other day about how is it your Shinsui or E? I think it was Shinsui. He was talking about how some of the heroes kind of had a message where just because they're acting a certain way doesn't mean that's actually like how they actually are. There's not their actual personality. They're just doing that because that's the job of a hero.
Correct. Yeah.
The same way, like King told Mirio, you always have to smile in the face of danger, type of thing. Even
more recent with you saw Mount Lady and how she telling them during their training. She's like, okay, during the media we have to we gotta sort of do certain things to make sure society kind of like looks at us and views us in a certain way, even though we don't necessarily want to do. This is what makes the ultimate package. You're basically selling as like a product to be presented to society. And so the whole thing is the reason why, like what Vince was talking about, ultimately it's kind of funny. It's ironic in a way because what you're talking about is actually what society's like the stigmas are for those heroes and what like they kind of want them to be. It's like it's not that Endeavor can't be a different type of hero. It's because society itself and the hero organization won't allow it. Especially with when you have an opposing force like Shigaraki also coming on that other side. It's like they don't want their package is. All Might was that symbol of peace because he sort of represented. Before him there was it wasn't as there was no All Might. There wasn't any person doing shit on that level. And so when he brought that, it's like that's how everybody wanted it to be. Like, okay, now All Might.
His successor wasn't doing shit on that level.
Wait, well, yes, but he brought it to a different like.
He brought to a whole new
whole new
thing.
Just as far as like being the symbol,
Star Spangled, awesome, red, white, and blue type level shit.
Exactly, the Superman, of the verse, and that's kind of they wanted that, and Endeavor is kind of like trying to uphold that same thing, but it's like he understands like I just need to do my job and like get it done, and there'll be plenty of people that sort of are his fan, and he's obviously getting more popular as a hero as he gets shit done, but he can never be that symbol as far as what they wanted from the past. Now that's why the shift changes to Midoriya because his and the Class 1A heroes because they're changing that. Like whatever happens between the league, between their next opponents, all of that is gonna radically change through their shit.
And to piggyback off Shisu real quick before we start getting everybody else some time to talk real quick. It's like they already say basically to break it down just like this. All Might gives you the sense that I am here. There's no need to fear. For the heroes, like All Might's here. We can always wait. We can always count on him. As to where there's comfort because All Might here. What they literally stated with Endeavor is, yeah, he's like some symbol of light or whatever, but they already said he's inspiring other heroes to pick up their slack and do better because he's showing us that even that fight at like the high end, it shows like, yo, we don't All Might would have knocked that motherfucker out with one punch. Like I'm saying, like his fight with the Ultimate Eva, of course, that's gonna be a real battle. But every other time All Might was there, you had nothing to worry about. You see Endeavor struggling his first debut match, the first fucking day. So it's like, yo, we have to rank up, we have to sack up. We can't count out.
Why did you say debut like that? Debut? I'm sorry.
Now I was like, what?
This is Laz all over again. What did Laz say that time? Persuado?
Oh, good lord.
I'm sorry, you keep going.
I just want to touch on that fact. It's like, people are stacking up and it's slowly progressing off of that in that pillar. You just can't. They say he's like the symbol, like but it's like he's just the number one. He's like they're not just counting on just him anymore. They're counting on everybody to play their part. But let's get some other people in here because we've been talking for a good half an hour.
I was about to roll too.
Yeah, I'm saying because good lord, I'm saying us three can talk forever. It look like
I started getting my panels out, bro. Oh shit.
Honestly, I'll be trying to be cognizant of that. I was like, I'll take over this whole stream in 3 seconds. And everybody just keep letting me talk.
I think Face said he'll be back. I feel like Trent's watching basketball playing 2K. I heard basketball somewhere. Someone was watching ball.
I'm watching ESPN in the back, but don't worry.
Okay,
I don't play 2K.
Okay, neither do
I. So another thing for me, what it kind of changed me a little bit because I did think like eventually like what they were saying like the whole entire Class A it's gonna turn into more of a unit thing than a singular person. But as far as Endeavor, going back to his relation with All Might, back to that point of just like a personality being bigger than life itself, and like it's kind of like the difference between like kind of a lazy comparison, but Superman and Batman, the way they operate, it's just not the same. Even though Batman's a human, he don't feel as relatable as Superman is, because Batman's just like, oh, well, I do it this way. It's kind of manipulative, kind of cold.
Wait.
Really
Are you saying Endeavor is like would be in this verse the Batman?
No,
okay, because I was about to.
No, not at all. I was say it's kind of a lazy comparison because Endeavor is actually, like I said, he actually does more heroic shit. To be honest, even though his personality kind of don't fit it necessarily, he actually does do a lot of great. Like he's actually a really great hero.
His track record is
his own personal family problem. But it's just I was just saying that to do the personality bigger than life. That's what All Might was. All Might was bigger than life itself.
Yeah, he's not. Well, to the society, it's like All Might is not really a person. You know what I mean? Like he's just kind of he's like a brand that promotes a strong symbol, unwavering peace. Like he's solid in that.
Exactly.
And it's like
that was the point. That was the point.
Defeats his enemies like toast. It's like butter toast. That's it. Like that's what they kind of and they see Endeavor and they're like, like, shitty father, like terrible husband.
Who's coming out of your house? Like,
all of this shit. Bro? Yeah, we don't know what's up with that.
Man got a mystery. He got 3 wives. He got 2 mysteries.
There was nothing wrong with him. All right, let's hop into his character arc, right? And
definitely. You wanna
and the Todoroki family, all that stuff, the abuse, everything. You think it's being done tastefully, being done well.
We got definitely.
I'm gonna start off that too, and let somebody else cover that.
No, let's go to the next one. Everything's been said.
All right. But for me, so, well, I mean, it's not even this controversial, to be honest. I think honestly, for ending the decade off, this was one of the most impactful character moments for me in the manga decade, personally.
I agree.
Because this
the decade.
For me, I haven't read it. Not like I've read everything.
No, I just
but
no,
for
no. I
how
wanted.
the
I thought I
yeah.
heard you wrong for a second. That's why I just wanted to.
No. And the reason I say that is because this is another example of me having a character that I really didn't expect to care about at all, and their journey and what they're going through. Because even if characters have character progression moments, and they have things that I'm just like, okay, that was a little nice touch here and there, but like I actually felt like involved in the and when it comes to things like this, the dialogue is the most important. And from the recent chapter, don't want to spoil it, but from the recent chapter, the things he said and the one particular line about him saying that, like, I understand that, y'all are gonna feel this certain way, but I'm not asking for that. I'm just trying to do the right thing. Super powerful. And this is not even the most original concept. Levels of this have been done before. Maybe not quite like this, as far as manga, because I've seen this in comic books or just TV shows or movies, stuff
I'm
like
trying
that.
to mount that lady. I'm sorry, I just said a sequel.
Oh, good lord.
Sequel. Stop it.
But it was just it just really just made me like really feel for him, and that it just feels so genuine. And there's something to speak to that a writer can make a character feel so genuine and make it feel like an actual change. And also the reason I say this so impactful, because if we're all predicting that Endeavor could eventually die, it just makes it even that much more impactful. Because then you might actually like care and cry for his death, like on some Whitebeard level.
Yeah, he will die. So.
Yeah,
Who?
he's for sure dying.
Well, I'm not for sure he's gonna die
All
because
Might?
there is a scenario. No, Endeavor.
And
Hell no, he's not dead. What the hell? No,
What
get
do
that
you
guy.
mean?
Get
Read
that
that
guy.
latest chapter.
I've heard people say it. I've heard people say it.
I've seen it in the chat a couple times.
Get that out of here.
I've heard people say it before, but for me, yeah, to me, his role eventually is gonna slide into more of like a teacher role. Especially now, I'm even more convinced from these past arcs. He's a really damn good teacher. He knows exactly.
That's exactly what he's transitioning to.
Yeah, he knows exactly how to push the right buttons and get you to do what he needs you to do. And that he's surprisingly, even though he can be a dickhead, he can be a good leader when he puts his mind to it. And I think when the new generation start, he'll fall back a little bit, and because I don't know if he'll retire from being in here. There might be a scenario where
Yeah, he'll get fucked up, but he's not dying.
Okay, someone said he might lose his quirk. Awu said he might lose his quirk. How do you deal with that? Instead of dying, maybe
I'd be okay with it because, like I said, I think he'd be a really good teacher. And I think it'll give the villains a feat and propel them to a top moment.
He'll be, if he loses his quirk, he's a cripple. Not in the sense that he doesn't have a quirk. Dobby not gonna let this nigga live. Dobby is the one fading this nigga. Dobby is the one fading this nigga. So
he'll get him. He'll get fucked up easy, but he's not dying. Like he is too big of a role, especially from now into the point of like where we're gonna take his character arc, that he's gonna die. All Might, yes, but like Endeavor, no.
Hey, you gonna ask a quick question?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Please, someone else.
Is my fucking can y'all hear my heat?
No, you're good.
Okay, you're right.
Well, that was
Okay,
quite
but-
random, but no, we cannot.
No, my shit is loud as fuck in here. I was like, okay, that's why I was been on mute. I felt like it was gonna fuck up the stream, but
Hey, bro, I got this dog barking in the background. I had to mute like 8 times.
but I was just wondering. I don't know if you guys had already said it. I was wondering, what do you guys think about what is that dude's name? The gigantic thing.
Gigantomachia.
Gigantomachia.
yeah, the whole.
Yeah. What do you guys think about that?
What do you mean?
I'll let y'all answer. Y'all are more on top of that than me.
What do you mean?
Like, what do you mean?
Like just him as I don't know, just him as a character. Do you feel like I felt like it was like I don't know? You feel like he was kind of overpowered, or is overpowered?
No, he
No.
was. I mean, he's all for one's bodyguard. So I mean, I'm pretty sure All Might. I mean, all for one's getting the top, the best of the best, the best. I mean, he modified that motherfucker. He's basically.
But that nigga's huge. Like he's huge.
Yeah, he'll get tag teamed in the end. Yeah, no big.
Yeah.
Pause.
He didn't tag team. Nah, no pause. He didn't tag team.
Why did you pause tag team? That doesn't make any sense. you tag team in a ring. I don't have any opinion on him. He's there. He's big.
Yeah, he's there. Big.
Yeah, I think it's like he is like a good person to have though for Shigaraki specifically, it's really big for him to slowly grow into like the big bad at the end, and kind of getting that approval from Gigantomachia is really important for him. But like
But it's like,
we
where does
haven't
this nigga be chilling at?
like we don't know.
That's
But
okay,
He's growing bigger too. First got
where,
introduced.
where is he sleeping?
And just keeps
Underground.
getting
That's really
bigger
what
and
bothers
bigger.
me. I'm like,
Under,
these niggas that can't
underground.
find him, they can't find this nigga.
He underground. This nigga be sleeping.
Nah, bro, earthquake something.
That nigga was walking into town. They was like, "What the fuck?"
I'm like, hell no. All Might ain't seen nobody see this nigga. Like
This is like
all of
not,
that shit went down, and
this
then
is like
nobody
not
be
being able
like,
to
you know
find
what,
Paul
something's
Wolf.
not right.
Yeah.
You know the craziest part about this motherfucker is that you remember him, and as you know, he was in Kirishima flashback. You know, he was the one confronting Mina and them. So it turns out this motherfucker was actually, when All For One got injured, he was going kidnapping heroes, and he was taking, so bringing them back to All For One, so All For One could take their quirks.
Yeah.
So when that flashback, he asked, "Where's the Springer agency?" So it turns out he had went to kidnap that hero Springer because in Camino, All For One was talking about all the quirks he had. And he was like spring like limbs, and he used that quirk. So I mean, it's just those little fucking details he be putting in that. Actually, stealing, kidnapping heroes. That shit's scary, dog. You just chilling at your office, playing around, talking to whoever, and then you just get this big ass nigga and pull up in here. Don't none of your abilities stop him. He drag you out into a
His
hideout.
eyeball as big as a damn building.
What we talking about? We still talking about the Hulk thing?
No,
Yeah.
You can. I mean, you can finish what you're saying, but then after go back to the Todoroki family.
Yeah.
Oh, we're all
Brady
good.
Bunch.
All right. So, did anyone else have anything else to chime in about Endeavor and his character arc, and how it's impacted the family and stuff? And if you want, you could jump into Shoto if you want to talk about him. Because I know.
Oh,
I just
yeah.
assume he's popular, so I just assume people want to talk about him.
He's
I
alright.
mean, that's my guy. I probably like him more than the average person, but not because of his look or his quirk. I mean, those are cool, but I just feel like he still has a lot of potential as far as a character to go, and I'm really hope that Horikoshi gets there to the level that I want.
Yeah. Where do you want him? Where do you want him?
Just it's had something to do with this is in simple terms, but it's not just feats, but it's part of the feats, but it's just like more embodiment of a hero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I look at like Bakugo's moment and Deku's moment have more individuality to them and have more to do with them. As Todoroki's moments, as everything about Todoroki still feels involved about his. And that's cool and fine and dandy, but I want the progression of him as a hero and as a person.
I think
that's part of the reason we bank on Endeavor's death as him growing as more of a hero because he doesn't live in Endeavor's shadow. He's growing out of the past as it is, and he obviously cares for his father. But him, feeling for his father and them actually coming to terms with each other and him growing because quirks are you in essence within everybody. So as his hot side, either he's really hot or he's really cold. So either he's like really fucking angry or it blasting off out the mouth, or he's really like dull and quiet. But as he's controlling both of these sides more, you start to see him come. And you start to see his dialogue more. He's starting to come out of his shell even more so and more so. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like the dialogue he had with Endeavor, where he was talking about like I'm not doing this shit for you and all that. I'm doing this for me, basically.
Yeah,
I fuck with that. And I need more of that for him to continue to stay as my favorite.
What's pretty cool is that I think gets overshadowed just because so many characters in Class 1A and all that is because it's like how much he's changed from USJ to like now. Like when he first was there, he was like, "I'm here to do my thing." Like, I had this goal. Like, don't talk. You know what I'm saying? Like he was very kept to himself.
Yeah, very cold,
very cold. Yeah, and then now he's kind of like become sort of like he humanized him a lot more.
Because now he uses a fighter
Oh god! Oh god! But no,
you know what's the funny thing though? I kind of felt like he talked more in the beginning than he does now. Like he kind of just has like a kind of just
slurping on noodles and shit. Yeah,
yeah, he just kind of like a silent comedic effect now. I'm like, didn't you used to talk? You used to have
he's
shit
observed.
to say.
Yeah, he's observed. I like his interactions with Midoriya and Bakugo. It's kind of funny, but he's calm, collected. We'll see what's up. He's all right. Yeah.
Let's get Trent and Deathly. We've been running. Y'all been here. Speak.
Yeah.
We got you.
Okay. In terms of Shoto, I think everyone who says that like he's boring just doesn't understand like the point of his character right now. Because he's not supposed to be Bakugo, where he's like flashy and in the spotlight. His growth right now is basically still focused on like Endeavor, and that's why he is still like interesting, because he's not supposed to like be at the forefront of everything just yet. And that's why like I view it as like Endeavor has to die at some point, because that's like him getting over the hump, if that makes sense, of like understanding like who he is as a person and what he needs to do from there.
I'll just say this: I hate that argument. Just I could completely understand something and still find it boring. Like you could understand his character and still find it boring. I don't like people say that. That's just.
I mean, yeah,
I think that's fair. Yeah,
you could say he's a bit boring, but I mean, we've always known that he was more of the kind of mild mannered guy. Even in his hatred for like Endeavor, it wasn't like a direct like thing. It was basically just him not using his power. You know what I mean? So like he was saying, his growth is within like that kind of stuff, because I feel like he was like, you could argue that Deku still might not be able to take him in a one-on-one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's still basically a powerhouse. So like, there's no point in just like all of us just seeing him mop somebody all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's it.
Anyone else? I mean,
I still want to see him mop people though.
Yeah, they'll get.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like a good cleanup.
I
But
need that. He lost,
especially if there's
fight.
a time skip. They'll clean it up.
I had to eat crow because this man lost. He looked like a bum. He was doing me dirty.
I mean, wait, he won his like that last Vince.
I'm talking when the pole fell off.
Oh yeah.
All right. I guess we'll anyone in 1A or 1B you want to talk about? I'm guessing Bakugo, but anyone else you want to speak about? In 1A, 1B, anyone you feel worth mentioning?
Let's let Deathly lead. Let's let Deathly lead the next arc for the rest of the.
Yeah, well, we're gonna talk about the women because that's honestly the characters I kind of want to talk about.
Go ahead.
I talked about this with.
How do you feel about the women's portrayal in Mirio?
Yeah, I talked about this enough, so I'm sleeping.
They're just underutilized right now. Honestly, like, okay, even like Nejire, which is like supposed to be the big, like the top girl at the school, got like 3 panels in the entire overhaul arc to shine.
But she does to somebody.
Yeah, this is true. But like outside of that, like they didn't really do that much. And I feel like that's just kind of like a big, a negative on the series overall. Like the girls don't really get a lot of time to shine, which is unfortunate.
My only rebuttal is that a lot of them, the dog, a lot of them are like class stuff. But I do hear you. I'm kind of waiting till after we show what they've been going through, like because she's training, whatever, and helping like class 1A, 1B. So if we don't see them like getting stuff in like the next 2 arcs, yeah, I'm gonna be pretty pressed. But for now, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I do hear you, and like you're not alone with this. I know a lot of people are talking about Ochako, Momo, Rose, all that, like and how they kind of need to step up from underneath. So yeah, I hear you though. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah,
go.
I
mean, yeah. Well, yes, I do have.
Go ahead.
I might be.
We lost.
Might be the biggest My Hero fan, yes, but there are valid criticisms about the series, which being the female cast. Now, where they had development, it just hasn't been on the forefront as an action standpoint, as like the boys have had. But that's not cap. Like people were mad about, and people respected the joint training arc is overhated, but it definitely did what everybody was asking for. It gave the shine to a definite good amount of fucking like just Revenge is rather good than Weekly.
That's the arc where Jiro, they're like, Jiro, please play the guitar. I was like, I don't want to play the guitar.
No, that was Cultural Festival.
Okay, good, because that shit sucks.
Yeah.
Don't
Why do you hate it?
Joint Train, anyway, like I say, George gets way overhated. Like y'all niggas been asking to see more of these other characters. Class 1A, like, well, I want to see Class 1B too. Then he gives you arc. Both of them,
Yeah.
where people are getting like some people didn't get other shots, but that just cookie crumbles. I understand, but it's like the girls actually do get had developed. Momo was not the same person she was when she started. She
That's
could
true.
barely like beat Aizawa. She was like, I don't know what should I do, that. She over here making split second plans and special moves at the snap of a fucking finger, just like this, just like that. And and like Ochako, she's definitely been developing. People just it's just not what people want. People want her in people want her in a fight. People just want her in a villain fight, but she's been completely developed. But like,
Oh, you're
it's like
good.
okay, but like I'll put it like this: in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll know where we're going with the story. Whether we skip the 4 months or we start focusing on other internships. And if we do internships, I bank money on it being the girls first because he already had them on the cover page speaking
That's
about them.
true. Yeah.
And he already stated before that he flopped with the girls. He's like, I want to do better with the girls previously.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
to
He
me,
need that.
yeah. So to me, him telling me, yeah, I know, I kind of the girls haven't had this much this that and the others. Like, okay, he acknowledged that being who he is, and he's already given a side cast this much development. I have faith in him to do the same with the girls. So if he does the
What's up,
internship
Virgo?
thing.
Morning,
Internship thing,
niggas.
we definitely get this.
This man said
Virgo.
morning.
Here we go.
Dave Chappelle show.
Well, Shane cancel right now. All right, y'all.
This guy's 8 hours late. What's good though?
Nigga, I got held up at work. What's popping, my G's? We talking about that My Hero greatness?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Same again.
Yeah, we're like really far now, but I don't.
Really
I don't
for him? Are we talking about how Deku cries every chapter?
All right.
Nah.
Get this
All
nigga out of
right.
here.
I'm
We
at.
already got past that, brother.
I'm kidding. No, I like My Hero's been really
I hate
dope, especially
everything.
the development of Endeavor. I love it.
I mean, right now we're talking about the female characters and how you think they've been handled in the series. The good, bad, okay. How you feel about them?
I thought they were okay. They were basically kind of non-existent during Shigaraki's arc. I'm not Shigaraki. Overhaul's arc. I really thought that was when they were gonna shine, but they kind of got like thrown under the bus, so to speak. But I heard someone just say, they said that Horikoshi said he wants to do better.
Yes, he stated that he was like it was draining him at the end. He's not good at long arcs, which is why all the arcs are shorter. And then he was like, fumbled a little bit with Mirio and the girls and stuff, etc. So
Huh. Interesting. But yeah, I'd love for another internship art with I'd love the girls to go on to Miroku and see what's going on with that. That'd be pretty cool if that would happen.
you just want to see ass.
What would you guys like to
That's
see?
Oh,
not-
Bunny? You talking about Miracle?
Yeah, the bunny said it's not because I want to see ass,
That's man.
fam.
That's
What'd you say? Nah.
What do you guys want to see from them? Because John said he doesn't necessarily need to see like Gravity be out here fighting, but I need to see her
Yeah,
grow in some
that's
type
my
of fashion.
thing. Yeah, that's my thing too. So for me, I like it when women don't, I mean, we talk about this all the time, don't have those archetypes of being, damsels in distresses. And nobody in here is particularly that, so that's good. But I just like them to have a more clear-cut direction of where they're going. Have more in-depth. I like the women to show more emotions than like just necessarily being like insecure and confused. Like I like them to have some anger, some fury, some just something more than what we usually get. I just need something more in depth with them and their fights. Like I don't know why. Like it feels like when it comes to women with fighting in manga, kind of anything to be honest. Like they're scared to reach a certain level of brutality and just like in deftness with their character and stuff like that. It's just like, nah, give me all that. Give me all that shit. That's an easy way for you to damn near boost your series a whole score for me. Because like we don't get that a lot in character. And it's just like even when we do get women characters, they have a feat here and there, and then you never hear from them ever again. Kind of always get put to the sideline. And I don't need them to be in the forefront because that's not their job. But I need them to do more than what they're doing now, character-wise and feat-wise.
Well put.
I agree with that.
Great.
Anyone else in the class 1A or 1B think is worth noticing? Want to talk about or move on to the next?
Can we
Kendo.
talk about the
Kendo.
Yeah.
She's cool.
Cheeks? I mean, what do you
You said who?
I said she's or
What's the
Kendo.
girl? What's the girl
No,
with
no,
the
no. I
tool?
meant
What's the girl with the
what's
tools?
his name?
Who does the
Shinzo.
tool stuff?
I meant
Is it her?
Yes,
Hatsume?
Hatsume. May Hatsume.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a
yeah,
girl.
yeah. I like her. I would like to see more of her. She's
no.
interesting.
I meant the Shinzo dude, the dude with the voiceover.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Shinso.
Yeah.
What about it?
You mean
Oh,
fake eraser head?
I mean, what do you want to see from him, or what do you like about him? What do you talk about?
Shit, I think he's a dope character overall. Especially because he was kind of like, I don't know, kind of like reinserted into the story. So it's kind of like he's going like it's like it's almost expected of him to have some type of role later on, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think I think his quirk is cool. That's probably one of the top quirks. And depending upon how cold he is, that's how it is.
I like the story behind Shinso. Basically, how when he was introduced, basically, well, he's like, well, with a quirk like mine, everybody expected me to be a villain, and like he's trying to break that mold and basically like be the best mind controlling hero. That sounds right. He can be.
And about the Shinto thing, it was also pretty dope how. Wait, what? All right, so about the Shinto thing, it was also pretty dope how Horikoshi, like, you know how gentle during his flashback, he didn't really get like a second chance in a way, because after he like kept failing, and then he was kind of thrown out the Hero Society. But Shinso, like, even though he failed his exam, his all of them, they actually like gave him a second chance, and then he's like, using it. And most likely, like, he's prospering now, given a second chance. So it's cool to see like the progress that they're doing as a society, and just flat out denying everyone that doesn't have like a battle quirk.
Yeah, well, that's it.
Oh my goodness.
So I need
Now he's
Tokiyami. I
here.
need Tokiyami. Goddamn, I need my bird game. I don't know
Go
where she's
ahead.
at.
Yep.
That ain't Falco.
Tokiomi.
Wombo combo.
It's not Falco, but it's the
We
Wombo.
need- Can't wait to see him running Hawks internship by himself with these bum ass sidekicks.
Oh no!
Oh
You don't
Lord.
you don't like the little Fire Force?
No, I'm talking about Hawk. I'm talking about Hawk
Stop.
sidekicks. I'm talking about Hawk sidekicks.
Yeah, knock it off. Knock it off.
What? The Endeavor's Fire Force?
He going crazy with that one.
Oh, Nelly, my God, what's up? I didn't.
Oh my stars!
Good, bro.
You sound tired as hell.
You said he sound tight.
You sound tired as hell.
Tighter, bro. Like, wait, no, tighter.
Whoa, 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 whoa. I already seen that on the timeline. Talking about Noel and Ochiko.
Hey, please don't bring that up.
Yo,
All right.
anime's different,
Where are the
bro.
handcuffs?
Anybody else want to come in?
Please don't bring that up,
Before I
dude.
bring up the next topic, is there anything about
I'm here to slander.
about various about various arcs you want to talk about? East. I know you had a bunch of little caveats you wanted to say about certain stuff, so like, I think now's a good time. If you wanted to say anything about any arcs, you think people should like put more respect on.
Man wants to get to his Mirio.
Overhyped, yada yada.
Definitely, I think definitely the respect is put on joint training arc because it's capped on a lot, but
is that the one A, one B one?
Yeah, 1A, 1B,
yeah.
1B.
That actually wasn't that bad. That was fine.
It was actually practice and set up for what's to come instead of the future, which was team battles. That was basically a practice setup so that now later on, when people are actually working together, he not only got practice for himself, but he got practice for now the kids learn how to work together and they can do synchronized moves and shit like that. So that was a setup of what to come. So then you see NBA that did like the end of it. It was like, okay, now each league villain gets their own. All 10 of these motherfuckers get their own squadron. Squadron is their own specific team, where they'll be getting specific members. So as you can see, now it's leading up. So he's set up to where a lot of people can get a lot of shine. So imagine 1A, 1B on a larger, grander scale, basically with bodies dropping. That's what the war not gonna be just like all out. It's gonna be multiple layers to it. We'll get that when we get to NBA or whatever. That arc set up. That arc was not on like gas, but it set up so much as far as the world goes, the world building and stuff like that. Like it set up layers to the war to come. Like they could break. They're going to break down the hero society and the faith in heroes and start expanding upon people using their quirks themselves. As you can already see, like even when that glass dude showed up a couple chapters ago, there was like, and you read the first chapter, everybody was like, I won't step in. Of course, civilians are stepping in. The glass dude, the dude was like, hey, look, we ain't got time to wait for heroes anymore. We need to step in ourselves. So it's like you just pay attention to little tidbits, and they start flowing. The story is always moving constantly. The world is always expanding and growing, just like the people inside of it.
Okay. All right. So if you guys, I don't know, this is a question KB. I think KB asked. He said, "What ranks do you think the current students will be when they become heroes? If you think that system will even exist by the time they become like full-fledged heroes."
All right. We just
I
talk
think
about
if
the notable ones.
yeah, I think if you were to
Yeah,
if the ranks stay, I think Deku probably is number 1, Bakugo or Todoroki's number 2, and then whichever one's not 2, number 3 is, so Shotaro, Bakugo, and then number 4 would be like Tokiyami or something, and then 5 is I don't know, whoever. But I don't think the
the funniest
established
thing
system would
about
stay though.
the funniest thing about doing stuff like that is because the veteran heroes, like the heroes that are older than Deku, like we don't know exactly how many of them are staying. Because
Yeah, that's
I
true.
doubt he's gonna just kill all of them. So it's like even like Tamaki and Mirio, we don't know if they're gonna be handled that way too. Because I would just like hop on and say the all big three right now, Deku, Baku, and Todo, be top tier as well. Because that's what the story's leading to. But we don't know if Endeavor gets off, is Hawk still gonna be here? Because Hawk is not that old, but like. Of course, Hawk is has a lot of depth left, but like we still got the Dota heroes. But I'll say the most potential, like to be top 10. Just the main ones. So Daiki, Bakuro, Todoroki, Tokiyami as well. And I feel like maybe one of the higher females could get through like let's say Momo through like popularity, bro. Like so,
Yeah.
that's just saying, bro.
Sorry,
He said we got it
Bro,
would be in jail.
I'm saying,
Truth. It's true.
Jack said me that that's gonna be in
I'm
jail.
saying, right? Because it's like,
Get that man out of here, man.
I'm sorry.
Uh,
I was not
got
ready
it
for that.
too,
I'm so
but
sorry.
I was.
I'm saying, right? Because it's like, it's not just obviously about like strength and stuff like that. Like, you still need like popularity and like how people view you and stuff like that. So I feel like one of them is just gonna cheat the system and be like top 10, like 10th or something
That's
like
true.
that. Like, I feel like that's gonna happen. Like a curveball or coach throws at us, but
Hey, well, Kendall's in top 10 if we're talking that, because she's.
Hey, I gotta get up out of here, y'all.
All right, thanks for
All
coming.
right.
All right.
Yeah, no,
All right, thanks for having me, man.
Peace
Peace.
out, Trent.
Alright,
Peace
take
out, bro.
Kendall's in top 10 if we talk about that, and then
Big facts.
Inas's constantly overlooked. People want to
Yep. I
compare
was
up.
about
People
to say
people
there are
wanna-
other schools.
Yeah. People want to compare like Todoroki and Bakugo. Like, well, you know what? Todoroki knows is fire. How about supposed to get past that? You got Inasa. The
Yeah.
niggas already got past Todoroki. Fire.
Nagamasa's sick too. Hair extension? Yeah. He's
Yeah, so like you got people that could really be in, especially Inasa. He's definitely top. He's top 3 material, but he just overlooked because people want to look at UA.
the other schools.
All right. Sorry, I'm just giving the thing the roll.
you're good. Like I think realistically, like just the current ranking system probably won't stay at the end of the series, though. Realistically,
Is it weird that I don't think Deku's gonna get the number 1 spot?
I hope not, but
a little bit.
Didn't he say
Because-
that?
but not be no, he didn't. But not the
something like that.
still be the strongest. Yeah, I mean, if complete package and that whole thing we were saying earlier. Yeah, I mean, it could go to someone else. Like Shoto could get it, and then like he could be. But obviously, Midoriya is still the strongest. But like as far as like what we were saying is what's a complete package for a hero that does X, Y, and Z. Yeah, it can definitely go to another character. Yeah,
I don't know. It's just Deku doesn't have that charisma. I just don't think he has that. No, I don't think he has that charisma. I think that's so foolish.
Not yet, but
I'm
it'll
gonna
be
be real.
different. It'll be different.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
Also,
for
I
sure.
was not I was expecting Black
For real, think so?
No
Because it's like
support.
with like Dakota and Aries situation, you don't think that people like
That's
share
kind
the
of broken.
charisma like the audience?
I didn't hear what you said. My bad, bro.
But it's like
I zoned out. What?
And like, cause like you're saying Deku doesn't have charisma, right? So I'm just like, do you mean like to us as the readers, or like to the people in like the verse that like he's not charismatic as a hero? Because we did get situations
I
like
think he means both.
I think I
both?
literally think I'm literally saying both because at the end of the day, when people see Deku, they're just like,
I can give you two
who is this?
examples of
Who is
where he
this
already
guy?
has charisma.
Okay, well, give me those examples. I want to
Ota
see.
and Eri, immediately upon
yeah.
seeing this dude and what he did for them, are his biggest fans.
Yeah.
All little kids. That's
But those
step
are
one.
two. But those are two children. We're
That's
talking
step
about adults.
one. You
You
can
have to
sell
cap.
them your toys and your merch, and then you get
Yeah.
super.
But that doesn't. But that's not going to fly with adults. You have to understand that you have to capture the hearts of the adults, like the actual thinking citizens, right? These kids are not legitimate members of society.
Goofies.
That's what I'm saying. Like you can't give me kids as an example when you need to capture the hearts of all the citizens.
Well, we
What's
not
a
there
start?
yet.
Yeah,
we're not at
I
that
think
They still in school.
Let me chime in.
Children are easier to.
Let me chime in. So, but it's the same fact that they're growing as is. This is where they start. There will be a time skip. There is the future. He can't be the number one hero as a first year. They have to grow up to the second year, the third year, which probably just won't be at school, but they have time to grow. They're not going to be on the same level as they are now. Just advance their quirk, the costume, every way. It's going to be the same thing when they grow. You see him, okay, like this moment, Deku had an don't worry, Erie, we're here. I got you. They're growing slowly and steadily. By 3 years from now, I think he's gonna be the same nigga. As much shit he's gonna possibly go through, All Might's death, or then whoever else's death, all the shit they're gonna be going through. You think he's gonna be the same? Nigga, no, he's not gonna be the same.
Well, here's my thing though. Can you not? Can you not make the same argument for people like Bakugo and Todoroki as well? Especially
Bakugo has to actually start
Well,
caring about the people around him as individuals instead of as stats. For that.
You also have to understand where their characters, or think about where they're going as far as like their character arcs, because like Bakugo he wants to be number one, and at a certain point, yeah, he'll start giving a shit, and he'll probably shift from what he is now. Still have those kind of traits.
Right now, he's totally
there, but
on strength.
Yeah, but as he climbs, they're all, but mainly Todoroki and Midori are gonna the people to look
Todoroki's
at
the
as far
best
as
candidate as
best
right
candidate.
Because he's got already like actual people like, oh my god, is that Shoto? And it helps that he's Endeavor's kid, so he gets a little bump in popularity right off. So.
Well, I'd like to give an example, and it's Go ahead, bro. I've been talking. Go ahead.
No, I wanted to chime in on what you were saying earlier about like reaching the hearts of people. Like I just saw in a recent anime episode, kind of like how Kirishima was doing immediately. Like, "What's your name, kid?" He's like, "I'm Red Riot."
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you mean?
Wait, what?
That's actually a good point, because he's adopting. That was he wanted, kind of like looked up to, and then now he has it, and he's doing the same thing. Like, so that's a pretty cool that you pointed out that. So it's kind of like passing through generations. But yeah, go ahead.
Midoriya's got to get that moment too, because in Sports Festival, All Might said that you need to proclaim to the world that I am here, and he hasn't done that yet. And the next Sports Festival, it's very likely that he will, but that gets into a whole other tangent of that moment's probably going to get taken away from him if All Might dies, if the villains attack at that moment. Mm-hmm. So it's difficult.
How the hell is he going to explain to the masses that he has multiple quirks out of nowhere?
I don't know if that's right.
He's already been talking to Ujiko. Ujiko already knows all this. Ujiko and All For One already know all this.
Yeah.
It's probably going to get revealed without him
wanting. The Festival is a bigger venue.
It is a huge venue, but we don't know if he's going to use Black Whip when he fights anyone. So
the thing about it is they don't even understand Class 1. Like when they saw that,
they don't get it.
They were like, "That's another movie guy. We didn't." They're so they don't really question it too. They don't understand his whole quirk to begin with. So, but I mean, at a certain period, he'll probably, after the All Might thing, he'll probably step up as a person and just be more kind of like himself, if that makes sense, and be more open to certain things like after a certain point. And I think he'll probably tell, and I think people are going to be accepting of it. I think a little bit in the beginning, people are going to be kind of thrown off by it, but like even especially his peers, but. They're behind him. They're supportive, obviously, and it's like he's already so many heroes kind of like the teachers fuck with him. So it'll be easy to transition into that and get respect.
All right.
So I would raise up the argument when God, what moment was it? Bakugo, yeah, in the last training session that they had, the last training exercise, where Bakugo was basically the leader of his team, and people saw a brand new side of Bakugo where they were inspired by the way he was carrying himself through that entire ordeal. You don't see that as potential for Bakugo to really raise his claim as someone who could be the number one hero.
Oh, I
That's for
definitely
people
think
that he's
Bakugo
been.
could eventually be number one in terms of strength, but I
Right,
don't
yeah.
know as like a.
Well, it's not even
That's for
strength because
people that
he's
he's
leading the
been
team.
with for like almost a year that he's been like knowing this whole
But
time.
you understand, they
Random
did.
citizens, like it's not the same.
But
Like in
here's the
this
thing.
last chapter, he literally called random citizens unnamed nobodies, bro.
Well, here's the thing, right? Again, if you're going to use the argument of development and there's still a time skip to come, why can't we use the same argument for Bakugo or Todoroki? I don't see why we
I
can't
think
use the same
Todoroki's got
argument.
a shot. I just it's gonna take a lot for Bakugo to like
Honestly,
change his
I
whole.
think
I'm
honestly
to
I
be
think all
honest.
three.
One at
I
a
honestly
time.
think all three of them have a shot. To be honest.
No, I
Yeah.
agree with you,
I
but I
think
think
so.
it's going to take a lot for Deku in general because, again, I'll say this again: Deku has no sauce, he has no drip, has no
Oh my
ability
Oh
god.
my.
whatsoever. Like, I really have to let y'all know, Deku is a Boy
Yo.
Scout, and at the end of the day, you know,
That
we
doesn't
don't want a
matter
Boy
because All
Scout, we
Might's a
want
They
Boy
superior.
all
Scout.
they all have their strengths.
That's why we're reading the story. We all have to see the direction they go. That's the case now, but we don't know 100 chapters
Yeah.
from now
Give
where
it
he's
time.
gonna end up. We don't know how any of them are gonna end up on chapter. That's the
He
whole
said my
reason.
niggas wear khakis every day, boy.
Do you realize? Do you realize how big of an impact All Might's death is gonna have on this nigga?
All three of them.
Like, do
Yep.
you realize how monumental that's gonna be? That's gonna change his character, like
So what? He's
by
gonna cry
far.
like most of the times he's done in the manga.
JD is really not like him,
Bro. Watch the earliest stream, bro.
Yeah,
JD was not like this, man.
We been talking.
No, I'll be honest.
He
I
did
don't.
start crying.
Let me trolling outside of it, right? I don't actually dislike Deku. I really don't. I do admire Deku, and I understand. I like the way he fights. I like the way he thinks as he fights as well. No, it's not cap. It's the truth. But for me, my issue with Deku is he just it's too Boy Scoutish. If you want to be the number one hero, you have to inspire
You want him to
confidence.
fuck bitches.
And it's not just about.
Oh, God.
It's not
I
just
would
about.
like
Oh,
that.
he's not.
Hey,
just
bro,
What?
if they let me, that's what the fuck I'm
What?
doing.
If they let you what?
Y'all
Everything.
wildin'.
That's
If
why
they
y'all
let
not
you-
If they
heroes,
just
bro.
if they let me wild out,
These
I'll
are
be like, all right,
children.
There's
bet.
that
I'll
black
be like,
whip, bro.
bet.
Like,
Y'all are villains.
Yeah, I'm
These
not a
are
hero. I
children.
said that. I said that. I was like, I can't be.
No, these niggas are
Deku was
vigilantes.
like,
There is ain't no hero in this chapter, right?
And let's be real. Let's be real as well. Let's be real as well. Deku cannot live up to All Might. He just can't. He's never gonna be another
doesn't need
All
to.
Might.
You're never
He doesn't
supposed
need
to
to
do
be.
that. You're never supposed to do that though.
No,
You
I
can't
agree
be
with
your
you.
own
That's
hero.
They
That's my
already
point.
stated we don't need one man to hold
Yep.
killer anymore.
Plus,
They already
Midoriya
stated that.
also already
I
said.
can't wait till my nigga Midoriya get some joggers and some fucking
Also,
ones.
Midoriya also said that I'm not All Might when he was talking to Endeavor about how Todoroki is not him. He's not All
Okay.
Might, and he knows it. He's not supposed to.
I don't think he was saying he has to be All Might. He said to live up to what All Might was for the people.
Nah, I don't think you got to do that either though.
He doesn't have to
Because
do
we
that
already
either.
talked-
That's
we
actually
already
the
talked
bad
about
thing.
that, how All Might is a one man band. He's All Might, but the future generation not gonna be like that. It's probably gonna be the whole class. But it's just like who's the leader of the class. That's
It's
gonna
it's
be
like
the
it's like if you actually look at the Justice League, Midoriya can be the Superman character where he's way above the others, but if he's still part of a team that works cohesively, then it's still.
No, I agree. But then guess what?
I don't want you to disrespect Kala like that ever again.
No,
Yeah,
it's not
that's
disrespectful.
yeah, I was like, don't ever.
No, we're gonna slander Superman, right?
That was
Because
some.
Superman
That was
is
some
another
stretch.
Boy
That
Scout,
was some
bro.
reach, Glam.
I'm saying, what do you mean? I'm not saying he's that now. I'm saying he could be.
Nah,
Superman's a Boy Scout.
that's a reach.
He could never be Superman. No.
That's
Okay.
He never will be either.
He means the power in the sense of being a powerhouse. Being that nigga like I step on the scene.
Yo,
Young
young
Obama, you are
Obama. Young Obama's wildin', yo.
You're out of pocket. All right. I need to get to the next topic because I want to sleep at some point. The importance and impact of the villain arc. What did that arc do? What did it change? How important and impactful was it on the series? Seeing the villains do what they did.
Showed the Horikoshi's willing to take risks with the storytelling. Actually doing an arc focused on the main antagonist and taking the protagonist completely out.
But what does it do for the story, though? As far as
Increases the scope. Well, I could go on my tangent about how it increases.
It makes
the
niggas
scope.
want to read.
Because by giving the villains that power up, he's essentially created a force that the heroes can't possibly defeat. in any way, shape.
Yeah, Monumental Force. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and it's made Shigaraki, but at least to me, he's my favorite villain now. Increased his character immensely. It helped Toga. It helped Twice.
Who else can I stand? Can we stand? The other, the other dude.
Yeah, the other dude's dead. The other guy's in a wheelchair, and Shisui was pissed off about that.
We ain't gonna talk about gingerbread man.
I know East got some shit to say about it because I don't want to hog everything.
He's literally been speaking the whole time. Feel free to say something.
For NBA, what I like the most about NBA is like everyone's saying about like the growth and everything, because we saw them start off like they were trying to rob like some random religious cult because they really couldn't afford anything, and then they ended up the arc with a force that doesn't just rival like the number one hero, but just like the society in general. And then that's just crazy. Just seeing within like 25 chapters, 30, they went from literally like the brokest group of all time to like.
I mean, Twice can probably beat like every hero in the top 10 right now by himself, except for probably Endeavor. Like if you actually look at what it's kind of wild.
Because that's kind of honestly, Twice just like someone else.
Not really, Cap. The man can take out a whole country by himself, apparently. So.
I don't know about that, bro.
Yeah.
Archbishop.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Somebody has called him.
You agree? You agree?
Yes, sir. All right.
Classic rapidity, like.
All right. We can start from chapter. We can start from the first. Start the goddamn Advent Academia. They was already advancing the world as a redestiny. Start stepping and expanding that. The xenomorphs and all types of people need new fucking new gear to wear at everyday lives, and how he started expanding into the hero market. Then you also go on how they were already collecting data on the heroes by releasing their technology, their bootleg technology through the black market, just to gather more info on the heroes and stuff like that. And then that leads back when they attack, they already know what the heroes are like. They're like, okay, we got data on y'all niggas, y'all skills, and we already got more money. So now we want to take y'all niggas down. That's just doubling back on that. Then you got Slide and Go to Goat, who actually just emphasized like, oh shit, just emphasize what Stain was talking about. Yo, the heroes are not really heroes. Like you got niggas, this many niggas in the Liberation Army on the low, keeping it like that. So it's like he expanded upon that shit. Then you go back into even their backstories. You just seen how oversaturated the hero society was when they let just roam the streets like, oh, a hero will say this little kid, this motherfucker kind of creepy and stuff like that. Then you got Toga, people not understanding quirks and quirk repression and stuff like that, and what happens when you repress your quirk and you finally let loose. They're just a product of society. Them niggas not really evil. It's because niggas don't want to help nobody. It's just as simple as that. Then you got Twice. People don't be looking out for people. What? It's just like what happens. He lost his parents to a villain attack. Some niggas didn't do shit to him. Like, all right, you good, man. Go about your business. It just shows how fucked up the world really is and how you can empathize with Shiggy and his right, because like the heroes ain't shit half the damn time. They creating all their villains. It's like, how can y'all really be mad at these niggas when y'all the ones create them in the first place? Then you got other technology advancements in the world and stuff like that. You just see how far we came and stuff like that. I could keep going on with Gigantomachia stuff like that, but
I'll voice some of the things that I've seen about that arc that people didn't like. They don't like that quirk repression thing. They think that just came out of nowhere, kind of. Some people didn't like that. They felt like he just ended up getting a power that's kind of too much, kind of with the result of one flashback. And I also have seen that it's kind of, I guess you can. I mean, you guys feel free to still try and bring the hero on the villain arc, but this kind of leads into Shigaraki because people don't. I've seen complaints about the 4-month thing. I just go in a pod and come out like man, and I've seen that they're not with that. I'm just telling you what I hear. That's not my.
In terms of the repression thing, are these the same people that will praise stuff like Kurapika and his immense power up in York New when they read Hunter x Hunter?
I don't know.
Or are these the same
community? I don't fucking know.
I'm just saying, because if people are gonna stand shit like Emperor Time, Gear 2 for Luffy, Gear 3 for Luffy, Ashura, Diablo Jambe, which came out of literal nowhere in Eni's lobby. But I don't know what you're complaining about.
Hold up, Hunter? What's up?
The contract with conditions, Shisui.
Shigaraki shit had been foreshadowed since he first appeared.
Shigaraki's. If you actually paid attention, paid attention, this dude was inconsistently using his powers all the time. First time he ever used them, he can't even disintegrate an elbow. And then the next time he does it, he dusts a whole human in almost a couple seconds. So immediately there's a problem here. It's like, okay, how much can this guy really do? And is he actually paying attention to how much he's actually doing when he does it?
And then he already stated beforehand, like, I can't really remember shit, but it's like fragments of memories. And then if you pay attention, even he already stated, like, he already called the father hand. But all my best at USJ, and he knocked the hand off his face. He was like, father. He went to pick it up, and you could see it all the time. And even in Joint Train art, Deku had stated, he was like, yeah, I can't. He's like, man, he was like, in the third match, he was talking about their quirks are related to their mental status as they grow. It grows with us, not just our bodies, but our mental status affects our quirks. So how is that not already stated? And you can see that in everybody. As everybody grows mentally and physically, their quirks also grow too. So how is that not stated? You just didn't be paying attention. You just gonna pull off that shit.
I can't speak for them, but I would argue that maybe they felt it was a bit much of a jump.
That's fine. I felt the same way too initially.
If you feel it's a bit jump, that's okay, but don't just say it just came out when it didn't. They just ain't been read. I mean, you different because you don't have the same investment because your favorite character's not different. But they read and they claim they're not paying attention. So whose fault is that? That's neither here nor there.
You talk about his quirk, like
Shigaraki. Well, you and I have talked about
Shigaraki.
We don't think it's like. In my opinion, it would have been a bit much if this dude could have like gone from being able to touch a person and disintegrate them to being able to like shoot his decay like a beam through a city. That would have been a bit much.
You don't gotta touch them no more, though. Like, you don't gotta touch them no more.
Spree in Converse.
He's like City Tier right now, right? Or a bit more.
Hey, and plus, the nigga was fighting on level 99, the strongest nigga.
City Tier, yo.
Yeah,
I haven't heard that in a long time.
Like,
Set the programmers in here, bro.
What's this galaxy level? A universal galaxy level?
Did you mean
level
comprehension skills, my dude? It said compression skills up. Oh my god.
That's crazy, bro.
Compression.
Mr. Compression.
Yo, you guys gotta get that reading compression up, man.
That's crazy, bro.
Yo, wow.
I'm gonna remember that one.
I understand everything you say. I easily compressed that.
Took English compression 1 in college.
He said, hey bro, keep it moving. All right, how do you feel with the villains, the bad guys? How are they? How about
compression?
Ooh, I'm ready for this one.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead and start it off.
I just need to let y'all know right now, Shigaraki, Stain, there's nobody else close, at least. Overhaul's good, but those two, go get.
All right.
What you mean? You didn't like that paint, nigga? That nigga was so whack. I hate you, Endeavor, because I love you.
That dude. Nah. We don't.
That nigga was not it.
He was a plot device. He was a plot device for Endeavor. We don't acknowledge him.
He was super not it.
Yeah.
I said, bro.
Endeavor not acknowledging that either. We good.
I'm like, bro, if this pain nigga killed his child with lead poisoning, I quit the series.
Hey, let my boy Definitely talk, because Definitely been quiet for a minute.
Oh no, I must say I'm about to head out because I'm not feeling well again. So.
My man said, I'm gonna head out.
Man was sick for 3 days, bro. Man had like a 102 fever, bro.
I appreciate you. Though.
Damn.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, sorry. You're good.
Feel better, bro. Feel better.
Feel better.
All right, man.
Yeah.
All right, take care.
Release the demon.
He hit him with the OJ. Take care.
Release the crack.
Nah, but
hey, what Twitter world, it's me.
What are you guys' thoughts on Shigaraki's backstory?
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Really enjoyed his backstory.
Yeah, it was pretty well done.
It was one of my favorite parts. He's still a piece of shit though, but
it fell a little flat for me when we actually saw it happen because it had been teased so much. But I still think it's good.
I wasn't a fan.
Cap. No, I'm just kidding.
You weren't a fan?
I'm kidding.
It wasn't bad or nothing. It didn't. I didn't go. Oh my god! Now I just understand why he's the way he is.
No, I never.
Dude, Naya is so funny, bro.
I didn't do any of that. To
He's
me.
so funny.
I just said, all right, and then he destroyed like the whole city, and I was like, you got it, and then I just kept moving on.
Yeah, the way I saw it, he was always. I mean, look at him. I felt like he was always gonna be a piece of shit. I was like, yeah, this kid gonna be a piece of shit, man. I would just 2 seconds. You look at a kid, you be like, yeah, that little nigga right there ain't it.
That nigga's a school shooter.
Yeah, you just know sometimes.
I mean, Vince, were you before the arc happened? Would you say that there was a chance that he could have been redeemed, and that was a problem that you would have had if he had actually been that kind of character?
No.
Okay.
Never thought.
Man, listen, bro.
Man split an eyeball.
Took 2 seconds and looked at that kid and been like, oh yeah, he's gonna be a villain.
Yeah, that was my big thing. I really did not want him to be a redeemable
That's
character.
exactly what all for.
That was the whole point of like this guy is supposed to be just like ultimate evil.
I got my school shooter.
And like the hack will be a Slytherin, you just know sometimes. You be like, yeah.
This nigga was born to be a hash slinging slapper.
A hash slinging.
This nigga hashling, slashling.
Yeah, he gave his parents as an offering to the dark gods. It's just what it is.
I was just very glad that he wasn't a redeemable character, because that's what I wanted for the longest time, is like make this kid the epitome of evil, like he's supposed to be.
I don't like that. I don't really like redeemable villains because there's already so many of them.
We don't need Sasuke in the series right now.
Remember, Vince.
Well,
we discovered a new type. We discovered a new type.
That man did not know what he was doing.
The Kotomi Nekire type. We unlocked a new level of villain. We know about that secret layer. But
bad.
I'm gonna go. I haven't really said much. I don't like any villains in this series. Not a single one.
Really?
Oh my god!
Whoa!
Calm down.
I get that. I get that.
And this isn't.
I understand that.
And I feel like at this point I like the villains as an overall opposing force now, because I finally feel like they have the, I guess, firepower to match the Hero Society.
Yeah, bro, they got all that money from the cripple.
As way before, I felt like it was overwhelmingly way too many heroes and things like that. There's just nothing they could do, especially now that All for One was locked up. But in terms of each individual villain and their character, none of I would say Twice hit the hardest for me. I don't dislike Twice.
I was about to bring him up.
I don't dislike him. That the Sadman spray, whatever it was, that was cool. That was fine. But have I got any attachment to any of these characters? I just don't. Like Shigaraki's not like, he's like cool and he's raw and I do enjoy. I've enjoyed his journey in the sense of like, you don't often get to see the villain character kind of go through the trials and tribulations you would often see the protagonist go through. So he was never at like way stronger than Deku and things like that. But it's like seeing him go through this little arc and grow as a leader, grow as a person. And obviously the repression thing's gone, so now he can unleash his full power. That's nice. You don't get to see that often. Yeah, BMC, we're still here if you want to hop back in.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
As far as like, cause when I watched your stream with the when you guys were ranking your favorites, and I know that's like not all of them, but you were just kind of throwing out some names out there. But I noticed as far as like the people that you have in there, a lot of them have like, I would say like a certain presence to them in the series. And it's like they carry a certain weight with like, their actions, like how they interact with characters. And it's like, and I feel like from that and the creativity of how the villain is portrayed in the story is like something you really, really, really fuck. And for me, that's kind of, I'm not as far as, where you saying like, none of the villains. I kind of, for me, I don't think there's any villain in My Hero Academia that's great. I do like a lot of them. But Chili's, but I do like a lot of them, and I think like I see like where they're heading, like the road they're on, and I can respect that. But I do see where you're coming from. At least that's what my take is on how you view the villains in the story and overall. So I guess my question is. What would you want to see from these characters, these villains, for them in order for you to like kind of say, okay, now I fuck with them? Yeah.
That's an interesting question. Maybe
That's crazy because I was about to ask him that.
I
mean, we cousins, so yeah.
I would. I would. No, you're not. I would say that.
We are. That's what it is.
We are though.
We
We
definitely
definitely
are.
related.
Let's count.
But that.
First of all, remember, like I said, as of right now, as an actual opposing force to heroes, they're solid overall. So I'm like, finally, they can actually do something. I would just need them probably to kind of be around more and do more in the story and background. You know what? I forgot to mention Dabby. Dabby's pretty interesting. I'm not a fan of that.
Wow, that's
It's
funny.
the drip.
They hate
It's
that
the
nigga.
drip.
Yeah, I hate
I
it.
love that.
The drip.
As he should.
He's
As
pretty.
he
That
should.
nigga's a bum, bro.
He's pretty
That dude
interesting.
sucks dick.
But
You mean Toya? You mean
But I
Toya?
say that as an ignorant
How
person
is
who
he a
believes
bum?
in the theories that he's like. I think the theories that he's Endeavor's son or something like that. I don't know.
It still
You
don't
know,
matter.
you know I'm not around, but I feel like if that's the case, that offers something really interesting in terms of Endeavor's family dynamic and things of that nature. But I probably would just like to see them, more often, maybe just doing regular stuff, kind of see them actually actively trying to. But see, the thing about it is they're kind of doing that now. But ultimately, I could just say a character can be good. Like from my writing standpoint, I have no problems with them. They just didn't resonate with me personally. None of the heroes have done that for me. None of them. I'm sorry, heroes. None of the villains have done that for me. I think Shigaraki has potential. I would say All for One, kind of, but then he lost to a punch, and it kind of pissed me off because
He was old, bro. Give him a break.
He had all
old.
he had
He
all
he
had all these powers and made a big fist, and I'm like, bro, are you
Facts.
for real?
Facts.
That
Yeah.
actually irked me.
100%.
It's
You
not-
don't think he wanted to lose on purpose?
It's obviously
Yeah,
a big deal. It's not a big deal. Like I'm not like, well, he sucked because I only won. But I was like, bro, out of all the
Same
things
way I
you
feel
could
about
do,
Destro.
You made a big grotesque fist with all these abilities. I was sick, but I was sick.
Like,
I just love the fact that Shigaraki.
Just let C-Suite go off on Redestro.
bro, this man,
Destro's the
he
goal. What you mean?
powered up. No.
He definitely is not.
This man
Oh, my
was,
shoulder,
we
bro.
were building up. This man, we
Townsy.
get to the point where he fucking throws this black beam. We don't even know what the fuck that is. Then powers up into a fucking like one of those fucking Power Ranger suit, whatever the fuck it is,
Megazord.
Megazoid, whatever the fuck it is, Gundam suit, and then gets fucking washed. Like this man, Shigaraki was like, "I'm on it now," and it's like 150%. All right, wash.
Bet.
That's it.
Shigaraki turned that nigga to the father from the Oblongs.
This man didn't do no clap. No, come
But think
on,
about it,
get
bro. Like
out.
when he went in his final form,
Man was
He
talking
did.
all that
Yo, wait.
shit, and he was like, "Can I slurp, bro?"
yo, listen though. When he went in that
I don't
final
remember that
form,
scene.
bro.
Oh,
When he went in that final form,
read,
and
That's
he
what
looked-
it is?
listen though. Listen.
One at a time. One at a time.
When he went in that
look that,
final
bro.
form, bro, and he looked like a Kratos with a receding hairline, bro, you can't tell me that was a raw dog.
No, it was wrong. That's
That
what I'm
was
saying.
wrong, bro. Listen.
Why did he flop?
But
Like,
I mean, that
then,
doesn't matter as much if he's still.
where's that panel? Somebody did the fucking thing with him. I'm like, can I suck your dick now? Post that shit.
That's exactly what it is. It doesn't matter if he's.
Bro.
It doesn't matter if he
You're
looks
the
Hey,
one
raw.
y'all being
that
different,
picture.
bro.
Hey, listen.
All I'm saying.
Cece, you're the one that made that.
I mean,
Yes, I
that's the
did.
big factor.
I did.
Yeah, acting
So
like you're not the
now-
one that made that.
This nigga said, "Who made that?" Getting ready to pull out the clip.
I mean, that's the biggest problem with him. He can look as raw as he wants, but it doesn't matter if the dude didn't do anything to make himself like actually feel threatened.
I mean, he did some stuff, you know what I'm saying?
He got bodied immediately, Jay. Like I don't
Okay,
know.
but Shigaraki's quirk is overpowered. You can't get mad
That
at him.
nigga Shigaraki started laughing and
I'm not mad at
smiling.
him.
And immediately after
That should've been
he
at
had
least a
talked
good
so
fight.
much shit about how, oh, we're gonna beat you, you're gonna be subservient to us, you're gonna learn the ways of Destro. Immediately afterwards, oh my Lord and Savior Shigaraki, I pray only to you.
I mean, if I got bodied like
Immediately
that,
after he,
if I got bodied like that, I'd do the same. Let's be real here.
Dog.
Let's not get
I
mad
saw-
about that.
That's
He
not
should-
wrong, bro.
I'm so
I saw
impressed
him, man.
because
My
I
man
was
took my legs
standing
away.
this man.
He took my legs away. You really want me to keep talking shit after you took my legs away? Come on.
Yeah, talk your shit to the end.
No,
Blow yourself
my
up.
legs are gone.
Blow yourself up
stick
like
to your
Midoriya from
stick
Naruto.
to your ideals. Don't be a bitch. He got
Yeah,
bitchified.
that
No,
nigga
no,
pussy
he
level
is
Fuck that
sticking to
shit,
his
nigga. I'm not
ideals.
finna die, nigga. I got money.
Exactly,
Yo.
bro. I got
He's
bread.
sticking
My
to his
ideals?
ideals. He's sticking
got
to his
legs.
ideals.
Yo, he
I
took
can buy some
my-
prosthetics and hit the club.
Yo, the first thing
Ain't
he
no
did,
ideals when
That
you're
was
dead,
weird.
fam. You
he
gotta
choked
go.
out his own
He's
homie.
sticking to his ideals. What do you
he did. Though.
He choked out his
You know
own
that nigga
homie.
was paying for pussy, nigga. He was like a receding hairline ginger.
I
Well,
misspoke.
he got bread though.
Not stick to his ideals. I meant stick to your shit talk. That's what I meant to say.
Pretty body
I,
doesn't
I
have
didn't
though.
I didn't like the way he switched up like that. It's one thing to accept defeat and let him run the shit, but you don't have to be on your knees doing all that. I didn't like that. I didn't think it was funny.
Even his homie was like, even his homie was
prostrating
Homie
himself to
said
him,
nah.
man. Like, no.
Yeah, exactly. His own dudes were like, "This is not it." After he had given them.
Okay, but let's be real though. Let's be real though. He sticks to his ideals. He just had somebody else lead his ideals for him. That's all he did.
exactly.
Yo, he just switched up his ideals. Come on.
No, he switched up his.
Hold on. East, anything about Shigaraki you wanna chime in on?
He the goat.
That's all you gotta say.
Big facts. You right. Go ahead.
Speaking of which, he definitely will have regenerative healing abilities when he come back. That's it.
Oh.
Yeah. If you realize what Ujiko was talking about, the off one and the motherfucker first appeared, he was like, it's gonna take a couple of months, like 4 months or longer, for the healing regeneration to come back. So if you combine that, he's gonna have multiple quirks, and he's talking about quirk singularity. Which you actually, by the way, quirk singularity is seen with Deku. They keep saying each generation it gets worse, and the hard world won't be able to master quirk. But you see with Deku, he's 8 generations ahead. We're only like the 4th, going on the 5th generation in. So Deku's 3 generations. That's why he keep breaking his body. But
everybody got a power up except for Dobby.
That's because he's trash.
And Mr. Converse.
That's cap.
Hey, chill out.
Virgo, name me one thing that dude has been able to do by himself without any.
Find a fly ass coat.
No, he didn't. He had to get compressed to help him out to do that.
He's a tactician though. He's a tactician. He's still saving the command.
Yeah.
Tactician.
Man couldn't even find people to get into the league by himself. He just
But
killed
what about
them.
his coat? But what about his coat?
Who gives a fuck?
It's drip.
The Dobby
But
thing
he's
that I like,
drippy. He got drip.
the thing I like about Dobby is the fact that the plot thread with Hawks. That's the interesting thing about it. But like, I haven't seen.
Yeah, for sure.
And the drip.
I haven't seen. I
Don't
need
forget
more
the
of it.
drip.
Like he's drip. What? Dead skin on his face. No.
So we slander him for eczema. Is that what we're doing? Because he got eczema.
Yes.
It's a problem?
Yes.
Why not?
So we slander people's
It's
conditions.
literally a problem. Go get
No,
it
I
fixed.
know what
Because he looks like Scarecrow from Batman. Y'all gonna do him like that?
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yo, you put it that way.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
he needs the bag on his face, bro. I'm not trying to say anything.
Y'all
No,
can
I'm
stand-
agenda aside though. Like that's what I'm saying. Like the only
Y'all
thing
can-
is that Hawks thing. Like,
Y'all can
other-
stand. You can stand Deku, but basically in his society, he's a retarded kid. But you're okay with that. You're okay with that. But you want to slander Dobby.
Jay is moving different, bro.
The thoughts
I'm
and
glad we
opinions
got
of
that
the
on
other
record.
people on the stream do not necessarily agree with the other streamer. The people on stream.
Yo,
That's cap.
I never knew JD felt like this, bro.
trying to get this stream
JD's
taken
capping.
down. Something, dude.
Naya had no shame
God.
on my stream. That's all I'm saying. All right.
Hey, but that's slander side it is. We get lit of it. No holds barred.
Hey,
JD was, what was Naya gonna say? No, I don't care about him. He's stanky.
No, that's cap. What I said was cap. I apologize. However,
but Jay, you have the whole Hunter Association coming from my neck.
see, I didn't do. See, okay, you know what
It's
I
funny
did.
though. No, it's
Hey,
fine.
I'm not gonna lie.
It's fine.
I'm not gonna lie.
It's
But
fine.
you know what I'm saying? Just my bad.
It's not
Well,
that deep.
Steve-O was like,
My bad.
Steve-O was like, come through Discord.
It's not that deep.
Steve-O.
It was I had a good time, but it's over now. Okay.
Getting
Now,
4 subscribers.
let's
Come on.
get to the best topic.
Hmm?
Why should Mirio get his powers back, and why is it yes? Why is it yes? And
Why is it yes?
And why would it enhance the story for him to get his powers
Why
back?
He's been waiting for
Let
this.
nigga become a house father.
Absolutely.
He
Why is it-
just wants his go
Why
back. Bro.
is it
Babysitter?
absolutely imperative? The most important thing is the immediate returning of the Mirio's powers. Why?
Why we need older Midoriya back in the story?
Listen, I'm not. I'm gonna let y'all answer that question, but I'm just gonna say, if you can imagine for a second Mirio with All Might's like ability, oh shit!
Oh yeah, it's like Shadowcat from X-Men, except
I mean, if
Juggernaut.
Midoriya is already going to be a way ahead of everybody in the verse, just imagine how way ahead he is.
That would have been
Crazy.
raw. That's it.
But
I'm
for
not
real
gonna
though,
lie,
do you think he should get his powers back? Yes or
No.
Hey, like
The series
whole
will literally have
Mad
to
Eye
call
Force?
Mirio.
That's the wrong fucking
Yeah, I
answer,
think it'd
bitch.
be
We're all getting canceled down.
I think he'll get it like eventually, but I don't think it's gonna be immediate. Like, it's gonna be a couple arcs down the line. It's gonna be like a gradual thing.
What
Shut
if
up, Cyber. You don't read.
Here's the rationalization I make so I feel a little better. What if something happens, he gets his powers back, but he completely has to relearn it? So it's basically a detriment to him how it was when he had it at the very beginning. So he has to pretty much completely relearn how to do everything he learned to do up until that point.
What's the focus of that? Like, what would it be?
back
Are we
to
getting a
school?
couple
What-
chapters
what-
of that, like him in the background, or is that like a lingering
because
thing?
like the main
Like,
reason why he can't come back now is just how strong Horikoshi made him. You know, he's putting him like it was almost implied he's stronger than
Niggas
Endeavor.
fighting the main arc villain without his powers, my nigga.
he would have to come back
that-
when the students after Shigaraki potentially attacks UA Academy. He would have to come back.
Potentially.
What nigga fights the main arc villain without his powers?
That nigga go.
He didn't deserve this.
That's cap.
Why do they?
I kind of agree with what Naya said. Like he gets his powers back, he struggles and dies next chapter.
He was taking too much sauce from Midori.
That's not what I
That's what Naya said. That's exactly what I'm pushing that agenda.
It's definitely possible. Erie's quirk is coming back. Erie's quirk is coming back if you pay attention to that chapter. If you see her little
Aries
panel,
is
her horn start glowing again and start acting up.
Yeah,
Is that what you want though? Do you want him to get his powers back?
That's kind of my real question. It's like obviously you know what I want, but is that good for the story? You think if we already find a way to kind of deal with the quirk erasing bullets, it's probably not the best for the story, right? So that's why I'm asking the question.
I mean,
it depends on how it's executed and where it's executed at. That's all it depends on that. So anybody can feel any way they want, but it's all depending on how it's executed and where it's at. How far along are the bullets mass produced yet or no? Where is Erie's quirk and her controlling her quirk, and where is Mirio at? Where's the state of Japan? It just all depends on where we're at in the story when it happens or where it may happen.
Honestly, I think it'd be a good thing if like he just stays quirkless, because like
let the man be Batman, bro. That's what it is.
Because like it just shows how dangerous like people can take the society, like how bad this guy can be, taking away his quirk, as Jay say, making him retarded.
Come on.
Oh my god.
You did this to yourself, Jay. Just letting you know.
Nah, speak the truth, King. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah, I think it'd just be better because like it can show like how bad this society can be, taken away. Like if it's permanent, like it'd be good for a story. I think just from an aspect of the story.
I'd say it actually gives lasting repercussions from the overhaul arc. You just take that away, it's like, okay, well, we didn't lose anything except Night Eye, which I know a lot of people were really attached to him in that arc, but overall, in terms of the story, was losing Night Eye really that big of a deal when you look back on it? Keeping Mirio quirkless, I think that's a much bigger deal than losing Night Eye would be.
No,
especially if you say get an arc
guy
on like the big three after they graduate, and then you see him try and struggle with, okay, I still want to be a pro and help, but I don't have a quirk. What should I try and do? And see him do what Midoriya couldn't, and be a hero without a quirk. Prove All Might wrong when he said it's impossible for you to be a hero without a quirk.
They're gonna make him a fucking cop. You hate to see it.
Yeah,
I mean, he could be better. I know you hate Batman, Naya, but he could.
Plausible.
Naya, I know you hate Batman, but that's exactly what he
Naya hates Batman. Are you serious?
I don't hate.
Yo,
Batman.
he hates the utility.
He's just a Superman. He's just a Superman stan.
I hate Batman fans, and I hate how Batman is written because Batman could do whatever the fuck he wants at any given time. He's the most
utility belt
Let's
go.
Yo, listen, I'm a Batman stan.
I
I'm a
actually
Batman
don't
stan.
hate Batman, but it's just it's so annoying sometimes. And it's like, how do you do that?
He written correctly.
And you just smile because I'm Batman. I'm like, okay.
Nah, he hates Bruce and wants all his money. We know.
Correctly.
Batman, the only character who has a respectable backstory.
Well, yeah, I'm glad we all agree he deserves to get his powers back and it's better for the story.
No, I agree with you though. Like for real, if Mirio losing his powers hit me really heavily just because of how much I like the character, and for him to get his powers back is like, yo, you kind of just played me. Like, was those emotions?
I kind of agree with what you're saying, but like you said, like when he gets his powers back, it just matters on how it's executed. Because like if it's an Eri, I wouldn't like that. Because then if you use Eri on him, we could use Eri on like everyone else. So just like that's not like a good way to do it.
What if like it only worked if he was in contact with her or something like that? But he doesn't have it by himself. I don't know.
I mean, using Airy is probably the only way for him to get his powers back anyway, because the bullet literally destroys your DNA. With that
but there's
is
also
that.
the like, because overall I had like both, like the
Yeah, it could be. You could use overhaul too.
no, like he had like the Quirk Destroyer, then he had the restoring ones, and then he wanted to like sell both of them.
Well,
Like he
they
was like,
weren't restoring. It was enhancing what he already had. The quirk bullets literally destroy your quirk gene, which is part of your DNA. So I don't know, like a stim wouldn't give you back like part of your chromosomes. So I don't know. I don't think.
Literally, Aries the only possible.
Yeah, Aries
okay,
literally the only way for it to work.
Aries or Ujiko. Ujiko ain't get nobody back.
Yeah, it's like her, Ujiko, or maybe overhaul if he gets his hands back. Like, and that's.
What are y'all talking about?
I thought that could work.
Should Mirio get his powers back? And if he if he does, you think it's good for the story?
Yeah, I mean, like, of course. I mean, like,
that's the right answer.
I mean, of course he should. I mean, like, if I could understand if he was like, wait, do y'all hear that?
No.
Is that coming from? Is there a noise coming from me at all?
No, you're good.
Besides my talking.
You're good.
You scared me for a second, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, sorry. All right.
I thought niggas was in my house. I'm like, wait a minute.
Had to turn back around.
I know.
No, I mean, like, I would respect it if Horikoshi was like, all right, I'm not gonna give him his abilities back, and I'm gonna have him be a hero in a different way. I'm like, all right, whatever. It's your story. It's cool if that's what you want to do. Whatever. I'll be upset. I'll be a little tight, obviously, but I would respect it. But I think it makes sense for him to get his powers back.
You don't think it makes what he did in Overhaul have no meaning anymore? If there's no consequence?
It does, because like you still get we get multiple arcs of him, like just in Culture Festival, how he's just handling Airy and stuff like that. Like Airy just being there is a part of him. Like,
I know, but my issue is that it's like a temporary loss. It's not something that like stuck with him, changed how he acts.
I mean,
my thing, it's just like a more interesting plot line of him just like being permanently quirkless. I think that's a far more interesting storyline of him just getting his fucking power.
And I hate to say this, him getting his power back does steal Midoriya's thunder.
Yeah,
it just does. I think it's like literally unavoidable.
And you love to see it.
I'm saying, well, if you're gonna be a hater about that,
Midoriya, like,
I'm definitely a hater.
Midoriya couldn't get free passes. Right? No. Like he should step up and be better than Mirio. If he's so scared, Mirio going to steal his thunder.
I don't even think it does. I don't even think it does that though, because it's like it depends. That I think depends on when
he gets it back,
how you where you place it, right, within a story. So like, let's say like if if you place it while Deku is having while Deku is becoming the number one hero and he's fighting Shigaraki, and then all of a sudden Mirio gets his quirk back at the moment that he's about to beat Shigaraki in some like ridiculousness, then maybe sure, but like even then I don't think so. And like so when it comes to the idea of whether or not it sort of takes away from like the effect of Mirio saving Eri and giving up his quirk and everything, no, because I think like it would if he knew that he would be able to get his abilities back in that moment, and he was like, I'm just gonna do it. I know I'm gonna get my abilities back. I'm gonna do this, whatever. If that was his sort of like vibe and his decision making, but then I think no one would stand Mirio for that, right? Be like, whatever, okay. But like he, you know what I mean? Like it's like he went into that knowing, okay, like maybe having like he went into that knowing, oh, I'm probably gonna lose my powers for good. Like this is gonna be it. And like that's what makes him so raw, like so GOAT. You know what I mean? Like that particular decision. So whether he gets his powers back or not doesn't like mess with that decision.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's what I was gonna piggyback off. Where like the act itself, the selflessness, the act itself, because you have to also consider how much work he put in to get to that point. The way he did it without even hesitating, I feel like that doesn't go away. Like that moment still stands for itself. But in addition to that, it doesn't mess with his character or something like that. Because as much as I hate to say it, my favorite moment from Mirio comes after the fact he lost his powers, and that's when Deku offers One for All to him, and he immediately says no, without hesitating. He tells him, "No, I don't want you to go through what I'm going through. It's fine, whatever. I'll figure it out." And to me, that was the moment where Mirio became my favorite character because I'm like, damn, this guy is really the hero. Like that's the embodiment. And I don't think him getting his powers back takes away from any of those moments, especially if it happens down the line. Obviously, I'm super biased. I just want him to come back and be wrong and throw hands and just do. And I love his design. I like how he looks, like the Fallout symbol, all that. That's just my dude. But
I would just say he can do that without phasing though.
I don't. I want him kitty priding. I'm not trying to see him. I need that. I need that kitty pride life. It's.
I don't stand Mirio like a lot of other people do. I just don't. I feel like
you hate yourself.
No, it's because the whole Sombra thing. He got shoved down my throat. Like this dude's goated, so it's like I didn't really fuck with him like that.
That's why you're not on Twitter.
Yeah, I like him, but I just don't think he's amazing. That's really what it is.
I mean, that's wrong.
Yeah, I feel you though.
Like him. Definitely amazing. You have to like him though. He is amazing.
You would hate every character in My Hero if you were on Twitter, Glenn. Like,
that's why I'm not there. Place cancerous cesspool.
Isn't that the truth? All right, final topic.
He's like, finally.
The future of My Hero. I guess
the one topic Naya cares nothing about.
Well, we'll talk about. We get to talk about what you want, what you expect, maybe what you want to see, and then kind of how long you think the series is gonna end up being. And then I guess I'll add this in because I think KB asked it. If you think there'll be some weird type of like part 2 or something like that, I think KB asked that. I can't remember.
I hope
My
not.
Hero Shippuden?
just side stories. Just side stories.
I think
Shippuden. Let's go.
500 chapters.
It'll
We
end.
have done.
I think it'll end in a way where it's possible that there could be a sequel. Do I think Horikoshi would actually do it? No.
Fuck no.
He got spinoffs. He don't need no sequels.
Yeah, like a lot of people have this idea that we might get like everybody on the planet loses their powers. I don't like that notion very much.
Yeah, that's whack. I don't want that.
That's whack.
Like I'd rather have it where it's like they're all just chilling, being pros, and then it just ends. Like that's just the way.
Yeah. That's it.
And when you say the future, do you mean just like the immediate future or just far away? I guess in terms of the immediate future, like, I mean, we all talk about the war potentially and what it could.
No potential.
He's saying no potential.
He's saying no potential.
Wait,
Well,
isn't
the Archbishop is different.
Wait, isn't the big guy in Kirishima's story, backstory? Isn't that literally the super duper big guy?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah.
I said that was him.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
I mean, I could talk about. I mean, East and Shisui know this. I think I told Maya about it too.
Go ahead.
My idea for the immediate future
Mirio
involves like what.
Facts.
No, but for like the attack specifically.
A little hops in there. I'm good.
No, fucking hell. I mean for like the. No, but I came up with this a while back when the villain arc just ended, and what the specifics would be around when the villains attack, and I think it lines up really nicely with the second sports festival. Prime moment to send in all your forces. You got a whole bunch of people that could just act as people getting tickets, watch these kids fight, and then when the right moment comes, spring the attack on them, kill All Might in front of a hugely televised audience that's more popular than the Olympics. Sends a message to the entire planet the League of Villains is not to be fucked with. And you could, and this is the biggest part with it, was they could attack the Tartarus facility and UA at the same time and bust out all the villains.
Break them out.
At the same time they attack the sports festival. And the best way, and I think it really goes hand in hand with Midoriya could be potentially the winner of that festival. So you build them up right in the middle of the arc and then kill All Might right in front of him and tear him down immediately in the same arc.
Pretty much same page. We talked about this. So.
But I don't know how anybody else
are gonna die in the future though. Like all 32 are gonna live. Y'all think? Or
you mean who?
Yeah, the class A and class B. Like he named every single one of them. So and I doubt.
Yeah, Bakugo's done. Didn't you hear?
You mean you're asking me like
I hope it's a big number, bro. Like just 10 kind of survive type shit, bro.
That's why you were talking about Bakugo being top 1 hero. I was like, damn. Hate to see it.
I really can't stand Bakugo.
That's why he's dying, bro.
So if he's out of here, it's a lit.
I
Naya
ask
and I
you?
are best
Can I ask
friends
you a
on
serious
that.
question, Naya?
I can't stand him. Go ahead.
Naya and I are best
Can I ask you a
friends on
serious?
that point.
Can I ask you a
Fuck
serious
that.
question, Naya?
What's up?
Can you stand his mom?
Oh nah.
I actually do like the mom because the mom would
Yeah.
slap him upside the head like a black mom. I
Exactly. Yes, he knows.
I mean, I respect
Cool.
it. His
They,
mom,
they
his
try to
mom,
make that.
his
They
mom
try to
was
make
dope.
that a whole deal. I'm like, bitch, that's called black parenting right there.
Yeah.
He gotta
Slap
show
the
if he
piss
wants
out
to,
of
he
that
can show
boy. He
his
said, "Boy."
talent.
I think someone tried to argue the reason why he is because his mama abuses him like that. I said, you reaching, just stop it.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I couldn't believe they said that.
I couldn't
They
believe
were
that.
reaching. I was
These
about to people's
BNHA fans are wild, bro. I swear.
bro. I was about to people's elbow this dude on Twitter, dog. I was ready for it. Right in his Adam's apple,
The
yo.
knee of justice.
Yo, the knee of justice, bro.
Oh man, yeah.
I gave my 2 cents on the future. I don't know what any of y'all think about that, or
I have no idea. So
Yeah.
this off for
Yeah,
you
me
guys.
neither. That's why I don't even try to predict. I have no clue what the hell. I'm out of my element. I don't say
Well, I
that.
think it's not going to be that long, but I think it's around like 500, maybe max 600 chapters. I think that's how long the story is going to be. So
it could be
it's
short.
gonna
It could be
go.
400. To be honest.
Yeah.
Honestly,
So.
I hope so.
Hell no.
He's like, okay.
Okay.
Alright, I don't fuck it. I just lay it down. Nobody.
I knew it was coming, dude. I knew it.
I'm like, can somebody say something?
I'm gonna go grab a snack, bro, for this.
Fuck it.
Gonna be a minute.
I thought he'd have more to say about the whole idea we came up with about this shit. Because you and I.
He's actually like since like the beginning of the he's kind of trying not to let everyone else speak. He's actually actively trying.
I know, but it's funny
That's why I
because
wait till the end because I'm like, if I go on a tangent, I go on a tangent. So I was
I
like,
mean, it's
let me
funny
let
because
everybody else
he and I came up with that idea together when I first thought about it.
That's your idea. I'm trying to fool me.
Well,
Credit is due.
you were the
I
first
don't take
person I
people's other ideas.
fact checked with after I came up with it.
Yeah, I just fact check everything lines up pretty much perfectly. That was your idea though. Try to throw no credit on me. That's all you.
Okay.
You came up with the goat idea.
Wow, look at
Not
that.
me.
Respectable business.
I don't take people's ideas. So that's why when I read a chapter, I don't read anybody. I don't hop.
I'm gonna rob you for your record. No, I'm playing.
Yeah,
But,
feel free.
But all right, I guess all right. My Hero's going for 500 to 650 chapters max, just around that time continuum. There's no shorter than that. No longer than too much extension. 650 is really pushing it. It's really max 600. If 500 is a good 550, that's a good place to end it. He already said he wanted 3 volumes, but he wouldn't be able to put everything he wanted to inside of it. If you look at the parallels, the big ass Star Wars fanboy. The start of this was a New Hope when Deku became the New Hope, as you see him getting the new powers or whatever. And then you got the Empire Strike Back, aka the Back, which is the arc, basically the saga you would see we're on now because now the villains are about to attack and they're going to win. So then you have to have that entire war, and then you have to have them. Then you have to have the whole time skip, and you have to have them coming back to fight the villains on top of that because they can't. You have to have a time skip. What you gonna have? A couple months of them they just lost, and they have a couple months of training, then they come back and beat the villains. When the villains outnumber them niggas and they won for a reason, it's not gonna work like that. So they need time to grow specifically just for that. I like to see them as pros, but see where that goes as far as that. And then it's as simple as that. I ain't gotta go on a rant. It's just about that. Shigaraki is the main antagonist, and then it will also the quirk singularity affecting the world. Eventually, because that shit's not going anywhere. It's just gonna get worse and worse. And see them badass kids, they need to be slapped upside the head like Bakugo. This shit wouldn't happen when they were slapped upside the head.
Goat mom.
Of course. Anyone else want to chime in on what's gonna happen or anything you want to happen? You know what I want to see. I need Mirio time, but that's all I need.
I have one
I'm gonna be
other
real
thing,
with
but
you, bro.
I'll let everybody.
Hawks.
I just want to see more Mount Lady, bro. That's it. You know.
Yes, sir.
For the
That's
culture.
a guarantee, though.
Just for more. That's all.
Out.
She and Conway Woods have been like set up since the first chapter to have a big role, and I'm just waiting.
Listen, it's the only fan
We're not
service.
waiting, bro. They smashed. That's it. Like,
I only
that's
accept.
fact. That's fact.
It's the only fan service I accept. Yeah.
How many of these kids to get some kind of drip? Like give them something. Like
Yo,
they
Deku
be
need
out
all the drip he can get. Give him a trench coat or something, maybe some Air Forces.
Trench coat, bro.
You see the stream?
It's just an Air Force. Yo.
Look at the stream.
Oh, let peep the stream. Hold on.
No, Deku has a swag, dude. Damn.
You saw it. I just retweeted it. Yeah, he saw. I'm crying. Yo.
I'm sorry, I had to.
You love to see it.
Horikoshi need to hook my man up. He can't be out
Only
here,
other
man.
thing that I'd say I want is
working at times. I'm gonna be laughing.
only the other thing I'd say I want is I want one of the big
Will be
three
number one hero.
to
Yeah,
die.
me too, bro.
I want one of the big three to die. Specifically,
Yeah, Bakugo.
Oh,
Just it.
relax.
There's Bakugo. It's a clear
Well,
one.
no. Here's
Yeah.
let me explain because Amajigi's my favorite member of that group, but I think him dying sets up one consequences for the kids because it shows them somebody in their relative age group that's like, oh shit, like this is real life, like people can actually fucking die. And if he gets killed by Rappa after say he gets busted out of the prison, that sets up a connect.
That's how I know you don't like my hero. Now I already knew this, but like, man,
Rapper the GOAT, bro.
I don't not like my hero. I don't remember that name.
Yeah, he just don't
A
care.
name like that. A name like that, I would remember because Rapper the Rapper. Like what?
There we
This nigga said Nappa from Dragon Ball Z.
Just looking at it, take this off. Whoops.
But if Rappa say kills Amajigi, I think it sets up the fight he wants with Kirishima because Kirishima is so connected to Amajigi. It gives him a reason to now want to seek revenge against Rappa. So that can set up their potential final fight for the two of them at the end of the series. Maybe a fight shortly after the time skip between the two of them after Kirishima gets some power ups. But I think it'd be really good for Kirishima's development. Kirishima's my goat, and I want more of him. That's really it, though.
I could. We talked about that. Yeah.
And he's my favorite big three member, so it'd suck if he dies anyway. But I think it'd just be good for the story.
It could give a little more focus to Nishiri too. You know.
Well, that's the other reason I'd love to get an arc focusing on the third year after they graduate, which could be soon. I don't know if it's actually going to happen.
Before the sports festival, or
yeah. Well, they graduate this year. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Bro, who is this?
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about Rappa.
Oh, Rappa! Do you remember the fight during the overhaul arc with Kirishima and
okay.
and Pacom?
It's Bullet Punch Man.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't.
Bro, hold on. This is Rappa is literally the most eighth nigga in my hero. And this is the one nigga. The nigga who literally said, I
was focused on Mirio. I had no time for. I didn't care about anyone else in this arc for a minute. All I cared about was Mirio. When he pulled up and said, "We go back a couple minutes," and he pulled up Dolo, I said, "Yo, he by himself." Phantom Menace, shout out to Star Wars. Yo.
Duel of the Fates was playing in Naya's head in that moment.
This is the biggest eighth in the series. That nigga was like, I always want to fight. He took Kirishima to the roof. Like, is he better yet?
Beat the shit out of that kid.
Nigga, what? He couldn't even move his arms, and he was trying to kill a nigga.
Man, beat the shit out of Fat Gum and Kirishima in a row, bro. It was...
All right, man. Goodbye.